The hosts of the Swine Brothers show are not role models. They're not even human. They're complete monsters. The Swine Brothers show is dumb, crude, thoughtless, ugly, sexist, self-destructive, foolish, and a crime against humanity. Some of the things they do would cause a person to get hurt, expelled, arrested, possibly deported. The fact they blatantly ripped this off from another source should be an indicator of their shameless depravity. This extreme and bad taste will offend anyone with a working brain, so listener discretion is advised. If you're still here, welcome to the sewer of the internet.
Look, all I'm saying is I can respect the man whose dream is a hot bath, toast with jam, and booze.
And with that, welcome to the Swine Brothers Show, episode 201. If you'd like to get in contact with us for questions, comments, suggestions, death threats, topics, you can email us at cosmicgodsdie@gmail.com. Facebook is still facebook.com/swinebros666 because Swine Brothers was taken, and Twitter's at swinebros666 again because Swine Brothers was taken, bastards. Also, like, subscribe, comment, and definitely share because we need promotion.
Yeah, we suck at promotion there, kiddies. Mostly because everyone hates us, and I'm fine with that. Yes,
and of course, leave comments if you hate us, or love us, or just kind of like us. I am your usual host, Ellie Lindemood, and as always, the mutant is...
I am the Jim Thompson. Not a billionaire. I do not own a mansion or a yacht. And coming off the high that is Chainsaw Man.
Well, yes, you own a yacht, but it's actually just made out of popsicle sticks.
You know, I could just totally, understand, squatting in a little shack and shit, I can totally understand that. And the Yakuza debt, I can understand that. I've had this, owed money to drug dealers before. Granted,
yes.
I wasn't homeless and owing money to drug dealers, no. When I was homeless, my debts were, legitimate. I'd given up the drug dealing, so,
Yes, so with that...
yes, with that. What the hell were you thinking?
Well, I've been noticing something recently, as I've been active on the internet, as you know, for half my damn life.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in certain groups, there's certain people who are afraid to be rejected and or just leave, but they're not a good fit for the group.
You see, if they leave, then they understand they're not a good fit for the group.
Yes.
It's whenever they're not a good fit and they keep trying to lag around, and instead of, well, what the hell are they doing?
There's one person who, it's a pretty hardcore metal server, and by hardcore metal, I mean, we were talking about the band Siren, which is an obscure, power metal band from the 80s or whatever. And so we talk about, all sorts of obscure metal and stuff like that. It's my kind of server. I don't do well in, generic metal servers because I love Metallica and Slayer, but I want to talk about other bands, And if you try to talk about other bands, they don't comment because who?
Who? I'm not even going to bother looking them up.
Yep. So I go to the hardcore servers. I mean the hardcore metal servers, not to be confused with the hardcore server. Anyway, so there's a guy who joined this server, and this is on Discord, by the way. This is why I'm saying server, not forum. He likes some power metal, like the really flowery stuff that Jim wants to murder everyone for listening to.
Hey, that depends. Some of it's okay. Others, like, dear God.
Well,
Grow a pair. I don't care if it's tits or balls, just grow a fucking pair.
It's actually funny because we were listening to a radio show together, and they played Sonata Arctica, and I thought he'd hate it, and he's like, this is actually pretty good. It's like video game music. I was like, yeah. Anyway, he likes some like power metal and stuff, but everything else is like, we talk a lot about death, thrash, and black, and everything is just, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this.
Well,
To give you
fine,
an
you don't
example,
like it,
yeah,
stay out of the conversation then.
well, yeah, right,
Either
or
that, or, if you have a specific gripe, go ahead and voice it,
yeah.
But, like, if it's just like the genre just sounds like noise to you, then, yeah, you want to go elsewhere.
No, it's not noise, it's quote repetitive, unquote, which he called Rust in Peace repetitive.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He said the best Megadeth album was Cryptic Writings.
That was the weakest album I could still listen to.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though.
I have no fond memories of it. It's just I can listen to it. It's not like Euthanasia. I actually like a lot of what they did, even though it's watered down as fuck.
So if you have a specific complaint or something, then I can understand that. Or, at least if you don't like something, be creative in your insults. Like,
yeah, really.
This is like an abortion without the tasty fetus or something.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, he also the music he likes chiptune and metal, which I know you like chiptune, but I don't think it really fits metal. But anyway, so
it can, but it's more industrial if you do it right. If you're gonna do it wrong, though, yeah, fuck you.
But rather than realizing that, hey, I don't belong here because this is a really hardcore metal thing, he keeps trying to butt in with, oh, I don't like this, or this is not cool, or and he's also said, sorry, screen reader is screaming at me. He's also said shit like, well, what if I bash a band rather than just not liking it? Would you accept me then?
Wait. Okay, so you're just gonna bash a band for what reason?
Well, because he doesn't happen to like them, but he's trying to be all polite and say, well, it's not for me. But because
first off, if you call it bullshit, I'd probably respect you 5 seconds more.
Yeah.
But, the fact that you're trying to, like, be polite about everything and trying so hard to fit in without realizing, you should be yourself and realize when to butt out of conversations you don't belong in.
What tipped him over and actually got him muted was his idea of a good band was, I'm sure you know what Google Translate is.
Yeah.
And he wanted to put lyrics from another language into Google Translate and have those be into English and have those be, so basically bad Google Translate lyrics. Now, bands like Sodom and Sarcophago and stuff have done bad English lyrics, but that's because they're, German or Brazilian and they didn't know better. That just seems memey to me, It's
well, the kids are all about memes.
But my point with this story is that he clearly doesn't belong, and rather than admitting it and trying to find some place where he does belong, I mean, I'm sure there are weird. I mean, the 8-bit thing is huge. Go find people like that. He's trying to make the thing all about him.
So he's attempting to fucking change the entire server dynamic to center around him and his tastes instead of... I mean, I don't even do that with my own fucking server.
And you see this in real life, too. You see the one friend who's kind of a hanger-on, but he's trying to make it all about him. We had problems with that.
And turn everything into what suits me. And it's like, well, fuck you, get out. I mean, you get this, like, all the time. Like, fucking shit. It's why those weird-ass fucking gate movements popped up, because you had the fucking weirdos come in. No, we have to change everything to suit us. No, we don't.
And see, I was good because I understood what I didn't know and I shut up and I listened and I learned things.
Yeah, but this is dictation, not learning.
Exactly. This is, And it, I mean, I would even respect if it was actual dictation, but it's actually just passive. It's so passive aggressive. It's like, well, how can you be mean to him? He's so nice. It's like, he's not nice. He's polite and like the most, I don't know how you, like I said, passive aggressive way.
Yeah, really. Fuck.
I mean, like I said, I've encountered that before, and it's always the hangers on. It's always the new person trying to change things into.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this. It's like you get, especially if it's a group of people. God forbid it's a group of people trying to change everything to their fucking narrow ass view. God.
Which, I mean, I don't do that with any part I'm in. I understand that. I mean, yeah, I make fun of people for liking Pantera, but that's not. I mean, I never said don't like Pantera. It's just.
I mean, it's like one part, they're desperate to have friends, but at the same time, they don't realize that the reason they don't have friends is because they haven't picked up that, it's not all about you. It's all about, the group you're hanging with. And
well, yeah.
It's not even that much because you still get the proper set of friends. You can still be yourself 100% and differ with the group. But you still realize that, there's other people involved and you listen and you call them useless sacks of shit and it's a good time.
Well, yeah, that's why it's called a group. It's not called my own personal circle jerk.
It's like, some guy was going off like how people are bitching about, oh my God, there's cliques and cliques and, little groups of people that faction off. It's like, yeah. Do you want to talk about death metal? If not, then maybe you don't belong around here.
Yeah, and
I like me some Morbid Angel. I like me some Entombed. I like me some Cannibal Corpse. And yeah, these are all older bands, but, fucking get there with some of the other newer shit. If it fits with my taste, fine. If not, I'll call it an abomination and maybe even point out what the fuck I don't like about it.
I try to find groups either in real life or the internet that I can, that identify with. Not completely, because also, you also don't want it to be the other way where just everything's.
Because then you just get bored of it because everything's always agreeing with you. You fucking surround yourself with sycophants, just like a yuppie does,
But so
everyone sits there kissing your ass, giving you feel goods. Meanwhile, the whole time that, this is going on, they're all looking for that moment to backstab you to advance themselves in whatever fucking social climbing bullshit you do. That's why I say hail from the gutter, always.
Yep, but I try to find, like I said, people who I can, in groups that I can relate to in some way. I don't try, I used to, back when I was a kid, I used to, join metal groups just to post obscure shit just to annoy people. But, I don't do that anymore because I'm not 15.
You still post obscure shit, but, it's usually shit people can get into.
Well, yeah, right? Now it's, oh my God, you gotta check this out. Oh my God, you gotta check this out.
Well, yeah, you're not 15 and easily excited. Like, oh God. Fucking people are out there, okay? They worship David Cage, who is Quantic Dream's, head honcho that directs, produces, and writes all of his video games, okay? And they're pretty much just long, overdrawn fucking tech demos.
I would call them movies, but yes.
Well, he tries to make them a movie, but I wouldn't even call it a movie because there's so much that's broken. I mean, first off, the mechanics. Wash every individual dish. Yeah, we're not even at the plot yet. The Sims don't even ask that much. You just click on it and it goes,
Yeah, that's incredibly boring.
And then on top of it, the fucking stories are like just so over the top, and you could tell that he's screaming from the top of the rafters that he is an artiste. In this huge pretentious tone. It's a fucking huge train wreck. But yes, I'll tell you why he gets so high reviews. It's because kids, because his writing style is definitely middle grade, okay? You know, he throws in a couple of fucks and this and that, but, you know, it's definitely middle grade level writing, you know, and the poor side of that. And, so you're attracting all your fucking 9 to 12-year-olds with that, 9 to 15-year-olds. And what do kids like in video games? They like graphics and sound design. You can have shit gameplay, but as long as the graphics and sound design are top notch, they'll forgive everything, including horrific writing, if it's a story-based game, because look at the pretty pictures and sound.
And I have to say that the sound design is top notch.
Yeah, and the graphics are fucking top notch.
Yeah,
and the reason I say this, because I remember whenever I was younger, because I followed the bit wars, you know. It went from Atari to 8-bit fucking, you know, Nintendo, and to 16-bit Super Nintendo and Genesis, and who had the better graphics and sound, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, sometime, you know, around like 22, 23, I started looking back and saying, you know what? This is like full motion video, meaning the graphics are awesome, but the gameplay is such bullshit, I want no part of it.
Well, it's yeah, and it's the same way with music when you're a kid. Oh, wow, this sounds so bassy or so heavy. And then later on you're like, yeah, it's heavy, but is it actually good?
Yeah.
And by the way, yes, I have tried to watch some David Cage playthroughs, and the writing is so, they're not even characters, they're caricatures of
They're caricatures of cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, so...
And the emotion he goes for is depression. We're trying to make an emotional story, but it's all sad and oppressive. And, like, you gotta fight for the right to party, but we don't know how to party because we're depressed.
I'm sure you've all seen the early South Park episode, the pilot and the unaired pilot, when everything was drawn with construction paper. Mm-hmm. Imagine that, but it's their personalities. Just nothing.
Don't even imagine that, because you're actually trying to compare it to something good.
Nothing's actually like deep or anything. It's no,
he tries to sound like he's deep, but he's like, But, like I said, writing for middle grade.
Yeah, it's not an interesting.
But that's what your fucking 15-year-old does, you know. They sit there and they worship the aesthetics as opposed to, well, is there anything of good consequence here? And like, what's funny is you'll hear people, it's like, I was a huge fan of his until I grew up and realized it's complete shit. And then they sit there and go on a 3-hour tirade about a 5-minute scene, you know.
But just getting back to so, like I said, I try for groups that, you know, have tastes kind of similar to my own, not completely, and you know, I like a little friction and, you know, things like that, but I try for things, you know, similar to what I like, and I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, I wouldn't want to be in just a generic metal group or just have, you know, Killswitch Engage fans, because I wouldn't relate to them.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't relate to people like that. And if you say, well, it's hard to find people, you can always find people who like, even if you have really esoteric tastes. Look at me. I
bumped into this douchebag. It's like, good. Let's hope for the next generation. Then I saw the rest of the next generation. I'm like, oh, God, no.
I bumped into this idiot randomly, and I was like, oh yeah, he's like cool, you know, and he probably has a bunch of stories to tell, because we talked for like 10 minutes and he wouldn't say a word, and then he'd open his mouth and whatever he said was just glorious. Like, we'd have a conversation and you wouldn't say anything. See, I used to debate Nazis.
Yeah, I used to. It's a lot of effort, you know.
Yep.
Because, like, you get the brainless ones, that's just a headache waiting to happen because they're too brainless to have a debate thinking they are. The smart ones, though, that's where you gotta fucking put on your smart kid pants and use your brain helmet.
My favorite was still when you were, I think you got your teeth pulled or something, so you were on codeine, but you still did a show.
Yeah.
What's more is I remember the guy we were doing it with. His stream kept dying, so we had to start a new one. And you were at least with it enough to keep joining us. But my cat's trying to suck my finger.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why I don't get fucking all ripped before a show.
Yeah,
I told
right.
Elliot not to do the same.
Well, yeah. I have not actually had weed before a show, or sometimes I'll have a beer before the show or something, but just one beer. And that's usually when Jim surprises me with, "Hey, you want to do a show?" I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But yes, we are actually sober when we do this.
Yes. Which
But
should terrify you.
I mean, but seriously though, I mean, like I said, people. Well, I can't find people who like what I like. Well, how hard have you actually been looking?
Yeah, really.
I mean, when I was in high school, I went to high school thinking I'm, because I was getting into punk rock and black metal. And when you're 13, 14 and getting into sort of obscure stuff, your ego runs away with you, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, nobody at this high school will know what the hell punk is. So I'm not even going to try to make friends. I'm going to do whatever at school, go home, listen to music, watch racing, and just do my own thing. This is actually what I thought to myself at 14, and that's why that I was in the social skills class that I talked about, because they were worried that I wasn't making friends. What they didn't realize was that was by design. Until a girl said, "Hey, nice Misfits shirt," and I was like, "You know the Misfits?"
Yeah.
and later on, of course, and being blind was a little, I couldn't see what shirt people are wearing, but thankfully someone's wearing a shirt you were wearing, or so I was introduced to people and found friends and shit like that. But I eventually did come to realize that I wasn't so special after all.
I mean, that's something that still irks me, because, like you said about people trying to force their way into a group.
Yep.
You'll notice the number one one of the things that happens whenever someone sees someone wearing a band T-shirt is they say, "Name 3 songs." It happens to dudes. It happens to chicks. And yeah, I'll even admit it happens to chicks a bit more often, especially if they're hot, because it's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Because I'm used to hanging around mutants.
Well, that's...
But the people that make the biggest deal about it, saying, "Oh my God, how dare you fucking question my right to be here?" They're just like that dude you were talking about, trying to edge their way into a place and make it suit them instead of, just seeing what the fuck's out there and trying to make friends. Because part of it is, prove to me that you belong here. And a perfectly valid answer to name 3 songs is, "I never heard the band before. Could you show me some shit?" Show some interest in it, Because I mean, that's something that happened to me. I wore a Death Dealer T-shirt because it looked cool. And then some dude said, "I love the fucking book." I'm like, "Oh, really? What was it about?" Because I never read it. But at the same time, it's not just prove you belong here. It's like you're making conversation, attempting to make friends.
Yeah,
but these people try to shut it off because I just belong here. Go, follow me or else. It's like, well, fuck you.
In high school, I ran into a girl wearing an Iron Maiden T-shirt, and she had no idea that was actually a band. She just liked the design. So I was pretty disgusted. I remember someone said, I think I was wearing like a DSI T-shirt, and he said, "Oh yeah, what are your favorite songs?" I like, "No, what are your favorite songs?" Like, what? I was like, "Yeah, I turned the tables on you." No, but I mean, I don't tend to do the name 3 songs. I tend to just be like, "Oh yeah, but DSI T-shirt. I fucking love Once Upon the Cross, man." And see how they react.
And I love me some DSI, but I can't name a fucking single song. I'm certain if you just put it on your phone, I'll fucking even look it up right now if I wanted to. And fucking listen to some, because it's some good shit. I just forget the damn names of the songs, because I wasn't like a huge fan of them, a huge enough fan to follow, pay attention to song tracks and shit, you know?
I remember, I remember, uh, I was wearing a Death T-shirt and just happened to be listening to music at the time, and it was a Death demo. And so, oh yeah, you like Death? What's your favorite? Trying to see if I knew my shit. I just turned it up and gave him the headphones, and it was the Infernal Death demo by Death. This obscure demo from '86. Oh, okay. He passed the test.
Yeah.
I didn't even, and in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of testing. I mean, when I joined the internet thing, so I had the internet for a couple of years before I dared to create an account, mostly because a lot of them were email. First I didn't have an email. I needed someone to set up an email because caption stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one I used to. I think the email I used was like gg@gmail.com. As long as it didn't have like an activation email. If you have gg@gmail.com, I apologize for all the weird emails you must have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so when I finally joined the internet community, the forum shit in like September 2008, I was into like Slipknot and Dragon Force and metalcore, and
You'd be torn apart. I bet you were.
What?
I bet you were torn apart into itty bitty pieces and then fed to the fucking maggots because
So-
you're not even worth feeding to the dogs.
I had no idea. Like I was under because you have to remember I was listening to like the metal channel and shit, and they would play. I was getting into like Metallica and even like some death metal and stuff, but they would play that along with Slipcorn. So I thought that Slipknot, and stuff was considered metal, and so when I joined it was a forum called songmeanings.net, which I think most people have used by now. You can leave comments on songs and talk about their meanings and shit. Anyway, they had a forum. And I joined it, and there's a metal thread, and the first rule was no core except grind and no new metal. That includes Slipknot, Korn, System of a Down, Limp Bizkit, which I didn't even like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
they were actually too bad for 14-year-old me. But I went in there and went, what the hell do you mean no core? You guys, I even said this. You guys are you refuse to get with the times that metal evolves.
Yeah, metal evolves, but not like that. Not like that. That's not even metal. It's fucking just heavily distorted alt rock. Get it right.
I was eviscerated, but I was persistent. But eventually, I began to understand that just heaviness doesn't make it metal. And as I got into more obscure 80s material, Bulldozer and NWOBHM and Terrorizer and all that good stuff, Slipknot didn't sound the same anymore. It didn't sound as brutal. It didn't sound as heavy. And eventually I got out of that. Now, a couple years, a decade later or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I see people on this Discord server that I'm in using the exact same arguments that I was using, and I'm using the exact same responses that I got. I was like, wow, the tables have turned. But the thing is, had I not been tested and had I not been made fun of, I probably would still be listening to. I don't know if I'd still be listening to Pantera or Slipknot, but there's always a chance.
I still listen to Pantera, and there's like 3 good Slipknot songs.
Hey, there's like 2 good Pantera albums, and there's no good Slipknot songs. But
you see, the whole entire way differ like this,
But my point is
understanding that we have differing points of view.
I don't know where I'd be. I don't know. Like, I'd like to think I would still get into death metal because, as you've seen, it seems so natural for me to like. But I don't know if I wasn't tested to, because I was as defensive as I was kind of intrigued. Okay, why don't they consider that metal? Is it just reactionary? It's new, so it sucks, or is it something different? So, if it was, and when I joined Metalgate, I was, I joined. I mean, first off, you let Mason on the show, so that didn't really
Help.
that it was kind of not exactly high hopes for the show.
Yeah.
But it was called Metalgate, so I was like, okay, well, it has the word metal in the title. Let's see. I didn't know if it was going to be hardcore. Again, Mason was let in, but then again, you just never
I
know.
mean, dude I was with was like, he didn't know shit about metal, and I had to teach him a
Yeah.
bunch of shit.
Well, at least he admitted he didn't know anything about metal,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. And then I was like, okay, well, this guy's nice, if a little strange. But then this is Jim's old microphone, which made him sound a lot more demonic. Plus, I think his voice has dropped a few octaves, which is weird. Actually, a higher voice made him even more demonic. But
Die.
but he would say things. I was like, you sound like if Dan Lilker from Nuclear Assault was possessed by Satan.
Good.
So that was, I mean, but it was still a test, and I'm sure when I joined, you're okay. Who's this new guy? He sounds kind of young, but wait, he's talking about like, whoa,
Yeah.
So there's always a feeling out. It's not just metal. It's any sort of thing you might be interested in. I also don't think society. I think people who are passionate about stuff are viewed as weird. Like you can like metal, sure, and you can
Well,
enjoy it, but what?
well, the whole thing with yuppies is the fact that they always fly to whatever the hell is popular because it's popular. Not because they actually have a passion for it. So having a passion for something is going to be weird to them. Like, you fucking sit there and love some anime, but like, Yuppie's gonna flutter in because it's popular at the moment, and they're gonna try to make it conform to their desires and what the hell their tastes are. And then once it stops being popular, they just mysteriously disappear.
Yep.
And like you bump into them later, and they're like, "Oh, well, I was a kid then, and now I'm mature." Well, fuck you.
Well, yeah, I was told by someone who I looked up to, and they, showed me a lot of great metal and stuff, and you know, I really liked a lot of the stuff they showed me. Well, that was when I was a kid, but why would you still listen to metal past the age of 20?
Because it's good shit.
Yeah.
You wish
Why?
evisceration? I like evisceration. Let's eviscerate you.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, but I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't understand that mindset. But I mean, I understand the evisceration mindset. I understand that perfectly. But yeah, I've always found that to be a little weird. Like I said, I think you can like metal, but to actually like be more than just a surface level fan. Or I mean, I even see people who are dedicated, but the dedication's surface deep. Um, like they go to some shows and stuff, and they know some obscure bands, and then they don't know who Deceased is, which is really weird to me. Even Jim knew the name Deceased.
Yeah, having never heard them before, or maybe I did hear them and, forgot. Or maybe they even played at the damn local volunteer fire department where I used to go, and I saw them live.
Knowing
And
how
I
much he
was
likes,
on drugs.
knowing how much he likes Pittsburgh, probably.
Yep, I have been.
Because he was a huge fan of your scene. He knows Derketa and bands like that, Dream Death. So, but yeah, I mean, I just do what comes naturally. I've never, I mean, I I don't know if I ever really more than just like I'd like some friends or whatever. I don't know if I actually wanted to really be the cool popular person. Um, but it was a little annoying when like I said, I didn't have any friends or whatever, and people would think I was the weird kid because I had weird thoughts. But getting into metal and punk was like, hey, I'll find my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I used to
I
have.
mean, that's another thing, too. Instead of trying to make groups conform to you, just carve out your own place to exist, and you're not going to have people that agree 100% with everything you like wherever you
Well,
go.
but
So,
also don't.
you're probably going to have different groups of friends, and sometimes they mesh, sometimes they don't.
Well, but also don't try to conform to the group because the person who I was talking about at the intro said, you know what? I'm just going to say nice things about you, the bands you post, so I won't stir up any drama.
And if you
I'm
don't
like,
like them, then you don't like them. Why the hell sit there and be nice?
yep.
Why the hell be this fucking pussy ass sack of shit?
Well, it reminds me of Elliot Rodger. He wanted to do things not because he actually wanted to, but because the cool kids did it. I wanted a hacky sack or a skateboard because the cool kids did it.
I
Not
mean,
because I wanted a skateboard because I thought skateboards were badass, and then someone explained, yeah, you're blind. That's not a good idea.
fucking shit. I remember whenever I was wee little thinking, yeah, I want this shit because all the cool kids do it. But that's like 8, 9 years old. Around 13, I started developing my own tastes. And hell, even when I was younger, I developed some of my own tastes and got rejected from groups because I fucking hated Michael Jackson. I thought the Jackson 5 was his superior work, and his solo project, Michael Jackson, was fucking complete bullshit. Now, back in the 80s, that got me ostracized by a lot of kids, but I still to this day, I never conformed and I didn't, fucking stand it.
I was gonna make a really, 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 really tasteless joke that you had a bad experience at Neverland.
You should have made that joke, you fucking pussy. Quit being a pussy and make the damn joke. I had a bad experience at Neverland.
I know why you don't like
My
Michael Jackson.
balls! My
I,
balls!
I know why you don't like Michael Jackson. You woke up with his glove up your shorts.
Bum bum bum. Yep, that was the prostate exam at the age of 2.
Anyway, but so I at some point, yeah, you kind of want to do what the cool kids do, but I also didn't like a lot of the music because the cool kids were into to rap and shit like that. Eventually, my sister got into Green Day, and I kind of piggybacked onto that trend because it was rock music, and I knew I liked rock music, and it was popular, and it would be played on even at schools, censored. But I was like, wow, I can actually, because as a kid growing up, my main interest was racing, and nobody I knew liked racing. No kid I knew ever liked racing other than like Fast and the Furious and stuff like that. So it felt a little weird. So when the Green Day and that horrible thing happened, it was like, well, I'm actually somewhat, with it. And then I got into like death and black metal and hardcore punk, and Green Day lost all interest because there's only so much you can fake it before you just have to do what you got to do. What you feel.
That's right. Burn it to the ground. Burn it to the ground.
Um, I also
allegedly. You allegedly burn it to the ground.
allegedly, I also used to have weird thoughts. So I remember in 2002, we were watching the Super Bowl, because that's what you do in America apparently. And I was watching. I said, and I had a thought just out of nowhere. Wouldn't it be funny if the entire foot?
Hello? You just cut out.
Hello?
You're there now. Okay.
No, you were saying something about.
You completely cut out there for a second. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry. You also cut out there. You were saying something about allegedly.
That was 5 minutes ago. Then you went on to another tangent, and then you cut out for some weird reason.
You cut out
Did
during
you fucking
it, so
get high before this show and just realize I said something 5 minutes ago? Then you started another conversation, and then you stopped the conversation for me to continue a conversation that ended 5 minutes ago.
No, while I was saying something, I heard you say something and then cut out, so I was wondering what that was.
That was probably me having a cough because I had a fucking cigarette.
Okay.
And then you thought
Yeah,
that was words because you're stupid.
You're stupid.
God, you're not only blind, but you're fucking damn near deaf.
No, you're the brain dead one who spent all of his. What was your IQ? Like 5,000 or something?
Yeah, I spent it all on drugs.
Yeah, and now you're a wasted shell of a human.
Exactly. That's the way you live life, kids.
Well, yeah, it's a way. Although a better way to live life is to put your brain in a robot.
Yes, and have laser beam eyes.
What about? Uh, Surely your hand could mutate into something.
Oh, God. Don't make me do blasphemy again. God damn it. Yeah, just saying the stigmata. Yeah.
But
I need an eye stigmata.
ow.
Just start bleeding randomly out of your eye. I got an eye stigmata. Bing!
That
Ah.
that's your superpower.
No, I
Bleeding
wish
from the eyes.
that'd be a good superpower to have.
That would be. That would. So yeah, it's just what was I saying before you interrupted?
No, well, my interruption was trying to get you to say what the hell you stopped. You had a new train of thought, and
Yes,
then you went back to a conversation which ended 5 minutes prior.
it was 30 seconds.
5 minutes.
30 seconds.
You're useless to me now. Useless.
You've,
Completely useless to me.
you've always been useless to me.
I know. That's great. That's what brings you true glory in life.
But
The
anyway,
amount of
after the
uselessness you bring to someone else's. Anyway, what? Hello? Oh, good. Technical difficulties.
what came natural.
Okay, and now you're back.
Oh, I died. Oh,
Yeah, you died. And then Skype cut back
weird.
in. You were calling me again. And then, like, yeah.
Um,
We must have the feds listening in by now. That's why you cut out.
probably. I hate it when they do that. You know those silent helicopters.
Yeah, the silent helicopters with the fucking black ops and the, Jesus Jeepers and like the brainwave
I did
scanners.
I did actually get Danzig to play at or not I did actually play Danzig at my Halloween party in middle school because the DJ wasn't there. I was like, well, shit, I have CDs. All they asked was, so there's no cursing, right?
Yeah, you don't need cursing.
It was the first album. Oh, so anyway, so when I was a kid, like I said, I loved racing. You know, auto motorsport, and no one I knew liked motorsport. It was really hard to find any sort of ground to talk to kids or whatever. Um, and like I said, when music happened, it was all, the only time anyone liked cars was like Fast and the Furious and things like that. You know, I'm sure you remember that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was always kind of I know where I was going. Uh, Back when I was a kid, I used to have thoughts about. We were watching the Super Bowl once, and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if the field just exploded?
See, I've been wanting to put landmines in a fucking football field for years. Long before you were even born. And I
I
wanted
mean,
more
not,
chainsaws.
but I mean, it's not like I actively wanted people to die or anything, or like I hated people. I just thought, wouldn't it be funny if the guy was running down, touchdown, touch, and the entire field just goes up in this
See,
big fuck.
see, there's this movie called The Last Boy Scout. And like the first
Yes.
few minutes of the film is the best play that anyone has ever done in football ever. Because
Oh yes.
instead of a shotgun formation, it was a handgun formation, and just ran down the field, and then like 5 yards from the fucking goal, he just blew his own brains out after shooting so many other players. It was great.
But I was like 8 years old, so thoughts like that were a little like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like I was okay. Am I messed up? You know. And then,
Well, I grew up in a mental institution, so this is normal for me. I mean,
yeah, I
shit.
didn't.
At 11 years old, I went off to Western Psych, then I went to Mayview.
And then I heard George Carlin.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's boyfriend bought a DVD of Life is Worth Losing. And I knew who Carlin was. He did the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff when I was a kid. And I'd heard some of his other stuff, and I didn't really, the 70s stuff. And I didn't
Yeah.
really find it all that interesting because I wasn't a hippie and I wasn't around in the 70s. I wasn't a stoner either. But listening to Life is Worth Losing, and he started talking about suicide. And it was dark, but it was also hilarious. Trying to find a day and can't do it Thursday, can't do it Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday sounds like a good time, Well, wait, I gotta do something so the poor bastard doesn't have to clean up the mess. God damn it.
Fucking oven's electric.
Yeah.
But anyway, and he started talking about, the coast to coast disaster where the country burns, and it was like, wow, he's saying what I've thought. He's saying these things that were in my head all this time. Maybe I'm not completely insane.
I mean, fuck. Ever since seeing Sailor Moon, I wanted there to be like a magical girl that cast chainsaw rain. Where like, thousands of chainsaws just come falling from the sky.
At full throttle.
Yeah, running full throttle, the blades going, whirring. Complete dismemberment and havoc. That's part of the reason why later on I started coming up with the idea for a chainsaw launcher. And then using that in warfare. You got a clip of like 5 chainsaws and 100 people just get off the boat, launch them at the enemy, then get on the boat and leave. Because they're not even worth the time and effort to actually fully invade now. It's like they're lying there in pieces and the people sitting there trying to help their friends, and so much death, so much, maiming, and they're traumatized beyond recognition, trying to wonder why the hell they came here, did this, then left. Leaving just a scene of like complete gore everywhere, and you can still hear the buzzing.
That would traumatize the community forever. Every time a boat comes in, hit the deck. And soon they're all arming themselves to the teeth, and this peaceful, like, humanitarian aid comes into the boat, and they just.
Yeah, it's great.
But I had an idea, something like that, when I was like 9 or 10, although it was weed whacker rain.
Weed whackers aren't as fun. I mean, they're great if you got like the metal bladed ones and like.
Well, yeah, of
use
course
them,
you get the
but,
metal
like,
blade ones.
Letting them rain from the sky, it's a lot more chaotic because
Oh,
chainsaws
yeah.
have a definite center of mass, and you make the blade long enough, the blade's gonna fall in front of the engine.
Oh yeah. Well, it was just a passing thought because someone was whacking the weeds, and I was like, well, I'd hate to have that fall on me.
Yeah.
But yes, chainsaw rain is just such a glorious image. I like how the bot didn't. I like how the AI bot that we've been using didn't like chainsaw rain.
Yeah, it left a lot of blood from the sky, but not many chainsaws.
Well, there was
It
one
had
where.
blood and rust.
Ooh. There's one where it just showed a bunch of people carrying chainsaws in the rain.
Yeah.
And my
Just
joke was
singing in the rain. Just singing in the rain.
what was the joke about singing in the rain that I had? I had it, but I forgot. Anyway, how many people does it take to lift a chainsaw in the rain? I don't know. You broke my brain with the singing in the rain. That's hilarious.
Exactly.
But I mean, in my opinion, life is all about a journey of self-discovery and finding yourself.
Uh-huh.
And
That's not what it's all about, but that's a huge part. You figure yourself out, and then you can figure out what to do with your life.
yep. And like, I mean, it's normal to want to fit in when you're a kid, but like I said, when I found punk rock and metal, it was like, well, I'll find my tribe. It might take a while, but I'll find friends, and we could talk about metal and shit. It was I I guess okay, I know other punks must exist because there's music being made,
Mm-hmm.
but nowadays, like I said, traditional, like, just standard metal stuff is, yeah, it's fun, but let's talk about Hell Preacher. Uh, but again, you can't just force yourself onto a group or force the group, or
It's
try.
always these people coming in trying to force the group to conform to what the hell they desire. Then you get the politically minded idiots that swarm the group as a group themselves, trying to make everyone adopt their politics. It's like, fuck you.
And if you try to conform to a group, well, I don't know, doesn't that just seem unsatisfying? I mean,
Yeah, you can't
to me,
conform 100%. I mean, there's a difference between respect, letting people fucking talk, and only chiming in whenever you have something to say, like, that's bullshit, and then, like, you just leave it go at that. Like,
well,
go on a 5 minute tirade explaining why it's bullshit, but then,
it gets even more. I'm going to pretend to like bands that I don't like, or I'm going to force myself to
yeah,
try to
don't.
like things.
God, no, no. Because I remember way back in the day, Metallica had just released Chode, and I sat there and I tried forcing myself to like the album because I have Metallica painted on my jacket. I was like late teens, early 20s, something like that. I forget. I think like late teens. And my mentality was like, hey, I got him painted on my jacket. I gotta like him. I haven't painted on my jacket. I gotta like him. No, this
Yep.
fucking album sucks. And it sucks too bad. I could not like it. So I sold it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when bands, well, back when I was granted, this was more like 13 years old, so make of that what you will. I thought, yeah, you have to support a band no matter what, like, although I was 13, you were like 20 something, so make of that what you will.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Well,
I forget the exact timing and age, and I'd have to look it up. But yeah,
you'd
I
be
might have been
about,
in my early 20s by then. I don't know.
oh yeah, well, yeah, Load came out in 96, so you'd be at least 20.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
God, that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
But yeah, I remember that, and I remember, well, I remember when I read the reviews of Saint Anger, because I knew that Metallica had released Load and Reload, although I was like, oh, come on, they can't be that bad. But I remember reading reviews of Saint Anger. I was like, oh, come on, it's heavy, it has to be good, and I really did try to force myself to like it because it was heavy, it was heavier, but man, it's just, I couldn't even force myself to like it back then. I
And
was like,
then, I made the mistake of clicking on that link that you shared to like some guy that wasn't even metal, showing him Risk.
yeah, well,
I
because,
wanted to fucking butcher you before I realized, oh yeah, that wasn't even meant for me.
yeah,
And you're
even
even
though,
telling me, oh God, no, Jim, don't.
but so a friend of ours was talking about how bad Super Collider was, and it was bad. But I was like, oh, come on, Risk is worse. He's like, I haven't heard Risk. So I was like, okay, may all your dreams come true. And you did it. And I was like, don't click it, Jim. Don't click it, Jim. No.
Wow, what did you do to my ears? They have AIDS now. Not the good kind of AIDS, the bad kind of AIDS.
The good kind. The good kind. Yeah, I remember that. I remember. I also remember this is the day of the Black Album review. If you remember that, we did a review of the Black Album for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
And somebody had asked for some flower metal, so I gave them flower metal, not realizing that you were going to click on it. And I got a message from you that was basically nothing but profanity.
Yes, as I threatened your life
I th-
and
I
all
think
existence around me.
I think you mainly objected to the look rather than the actual music, because the look was. But you made me listen to the Black Album, so.
Hey, you listen to that yourself. I listened to that myself. In fact, the Black Album's what got me into metal, and it
That,
fucking sucks now.
that's true. Well, yeah, it was
My
one of the
tastes have
albums.
changed to the point where it's like an abomination.
Yeah, that was. But still, it was your idea to review it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well,
Okay. Calling it an abomination isn't that bad. You know, I fucking went over the edge there. It's just watered down as all shit, like watered down, barely metal, mostly hard rock.
It's watered down and nothing. I mean, for some reason, nothing just stays with me. I mean, like, yeah, Enter Sandman's catchy, but I don't like it. I mean, it just doesn't do anything. There were a couple songs I liked more than I thought I would.
You want to have a fucking smile on your face. Whenever you get into a fight, you always go for the balls. It goes foot into the balls all the time. You just keep kicking them in the balls until they topple over and cough up a testicle.
Allegedly. Anyway, the album was so boring I listened to Slayer's Rain and Blood to jumpstart my brain.
Yeah.
And to see that's another reason why a lot of, mainstream metal groups aren't really for me, because they worship the album. And there are people on, who I talk to who like the album, either for nostalgic reasons or they actually like the album. And yeah, we give them a hard time, but it's not like, oh, I can't talk to you ever again because you like this album.
It's not like the hard time is 100% continuous. Because there's other things to talk about other than the Black Album. If you're so wacky in everything,
Well, and we like different things. You like stuff that you like, horrible dad rock.
Yeah, I know.
That if I heard it, I would probably murder. And I like slam, which is, amazing.
I gotta shit on you all the time, because it's just like, what happens when you have a bunch of fucking teenagers together who have no musical talent.
So, no one says you have to be, uniform in what you like and stuff, but you should at least have some nuance.
Hey, I got an idea.
What?
When it comes to nuance, let's listen to something mainstream.
Okay, mainstream.
right, kitties. That first one was from Megadeth, a song called Devil's Island, off of Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? And did you know that Metallica didn't kick Dave out? Dave left Metallica in his fucking dust.
We reviewed Peace Cells on an earlier show,
Mm-hmm.
and classic album. And the next one,
The next one was Metallica with Metal Militia. Figured since we talked about both of them, might as well throw in something from Kill 'Em All out there, you know?
I still remember getting Kill 'Em All for the first time. I had heard, so unlike I had, rudimentary internet, so I was able to look up on Wikipedia and see who, I had the Black Album and I had Puppets, and I thought Puppets was really cool, but it said, Dave Mustaine had a raw guitar style or whatever. So I was like, well, I'm kind of interested to see, he didn't play on the album, of course, but he wrote a lot of, so I found the album and I remember listening to it on the way to middle school the next day. I think it was like 7th grade. It was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It blew my little 12-year-old mind. And Megadeth, I wanted to get Megadeth to hear what Mustaine, sounded like as a guitar player and a vocalist. I didn't actually like Peace Cells that much at first because it was the remastered version.
Yeah,
and
the remastered version sucks. You want the original.
Yeah,
In fact, if you want to actually support Megadeth, you can, and you don't own the album already, you can go out, buy the remastered version, then burn yourself a copy of the original version and put it in the case for the remaster.
Yeah. Yes, that's sound advice. Yeah, well, once I heard the original, I actually think the remastered version has 4 tracks from the original on the as bonus tracks, but they should have just done all 8, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But that's as you jokingly said, mainstream or well known. We're called metal elitists a lot by various people, and I've always maintained that no, we're not metal elitists. I know people who who don't like Metallica because they did the Black Album, and later on, and they're known by people, but they don't actually listen to Kill 'Em All because it's by Metallica.
And that's not elitist, that's just stupid. Yes, I am a metal elitist. I search for what's the best. And yes,
Well,
you can sit there and say, boo-hoo, it's all personal taste. What's the best? Yeah, well, fuck you. Aren't you looking for what's for the best for you? If you're just going to sit there and go with the flow, fucking follow the crowd with everything, you fucking filthy yuppie, then go ahead, sit there and cry, boo-hoo, you're such an elitist for not liking everything that was ever created throughout all history. Because with that mentality, you should fucking love Hitler's art. Because he was an artist. You should love that. Come on. Go ahead. Invest in some Hitler art. I'd like to see you try. I mean, granted, it's fucking, mediocre at best. It fucking sucks at... it's not good art, but,
I guess I should say I'm an elitist in the classical sense, but not in the modern sense. Because the modern sense, there are people way worse than we are.
I mean, you see people that only like what the fuck's popular. And then you have the inverse of people like, well, I can only like it if it's not popular and underground and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, that just cuts off everything. Look what's for its best, not fucking shit.
Hey, Cannibal Corpse and Toxic Holocaust both sold out, apparently, according to these people. Which is, I mean, yeah, well, I agree. When Cannibal Corpse went, went hard rock. Oh no, wait, they never did.
Yeah, they never went hard rock. They're still meat and potatoes death metal. That's Cannibal Corpse. Oh wow, they were on Ace Ventura. Boo hoo.
Well,
boo hoo.
I guess they say selling out because the lyrics got a little less gory, a little less explicit. But I'm like, well, yeah, but how can you top I don't really know how you can do. I mean, even the bleeding was
like Slayer after God Hates Us All. How the hell can you top that?
Well, I mean, even the bleeding was less. I mean,
hell, it was a bitch to even get anything even as close to Seasons, or Hell Awaits, and fucking, God Hates Us All did that, plus gave us some of the more hardcore lyrics they come up with, and like, how the fuck do you top that?
Well, I mean, even the bleeding was a little less, had to say it, explicit than Tomb of the Mutilated or Butchered at Birth. Some of the lyrics even make me nauseous.
Yeah,
So it it's just okay. We did that. Let's but they still sing about splatter and gore and like I said, Toxic Holocaust because what they're on relapse or the singer did something with Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. They still sound as punky and crusty as ever. Uh, Reaper Metal calls them underground tough guys, and I like that. So yeah, but to people who think we're bad, it gets worse because uh, and as a kid, I used to like. I know the guys from Entomb stopped listening to Metallica after Ride the Lightning because of Fade to Black. They thought it was a lame song, and were like, "Well, let's see what's heavier."
mm-hmm.
And in a way, I can respect that because they're teenagers and they're searching out the heaviest stuff. I'm 20 years too late or whatever, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, I
But
found out what I liked, and
y-
I'll eventually, bump, and I still occasionally bump into new bands I never heard of. Sometimes it's just new to me because it's a 30-year-old band I never heard before. Other times it's like something that just came out yesterday.
yep.
And I wind up liking it or shitting on it as it varies.
Yep. But yeah, people, well, I don't like Metallica because they went mainstream. It's like, yeah, but I mean, okay, then it's just weird because I mean, Kill 'Em All is awesome.
Like, those are two, deviating yuppie mentalities, though. It's like, I can only like if it's underground versus I can only like it if it's popular. Granted, most yuppies go for what's popular, but then you get the really snobbish ones that try to say that they are the kings of all and queens of everything that is art in all time. And these are the types of people that would suckle on fucking David Cage's cock.
And people who say I only like underground stuff or because I don't like Pantera or Meshuggah or Opeth. Well, my favorite band's Iron Maiden. Figure that, or one of my favorite metal bands is Iron Maiden. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
I mean, if and Kill 'Em All is not underground anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the Black Album, but compared to other, Kill 'Em All sold a lot of albums.
Yeah. Especially after the huge explosion.
Yep.
And some of those are not resales because we had pussies after the Black Album or Chode. Re-Chode and all that shit. They bought the album thinking, oh, it's Metallica. It's like, oh my god, it's metal. I don't like metal.
And I still listen to Puppets. I don't think Puppets is an all-time classic like other people do, but I still really like it and listen to it.
Whenever I was younger, I used to worship Puppets, but
Yep.
then my taste changed and that shifted to Ride the Lightning. So I just like Ride the Lightning a hell of a lot better, and Kill 'Em All's about the same league as like fucking Puppets. Just one's more produced, the other one isn't.
Yep. And I mean, but I still really like Puppets. It's a fun album.
Oh yeah, I still listen to it.
I mean, I'll listen to it and enjoy it. I was
I
playing
have cravings for it every now and then.
I was playing some Disposable Hero a couple nights ago. I was like, this is really fun.
Yeah.
And then You Go to Her Gods came on after that, and I was like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I like I like having the underground and the more mainstream. I like having, like I said, Disposable
That's why I
Hero.
say I'm a metal elitist. I don't care if it's mainstream, if it's underground, if it's good, I'll like it. If it sucks, I'll shit on it.
Well, and that's why I gravitated more to you than to other people in the Metal Gate group. The people in Death Metal Underground or whatever. First off, they were a little too right wing for me, as you know.
Yeah, they were right wing. I like the way they shit on some things, but then other times I was like, really?
But also, it just seemed like they hated anything that was relatively popular because it was, Napalm Death haven't been relevant in 30 years. It's like, were you even into metal 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, that was the funny thing. I caught myself saying something about Sepultura haven't been good in 30 years, which is true. They haven't. But I was like, wait a minute, that was even before I was born. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I, but yeah, so I gravitated more to you because you were more like, yeah, whatever. I don't, you even defended Chaos AD,
Yeah,
which
I like Chaos AD.
ugh. Yeah, exactly. But the point is, you weren't trying to prove anything.
Yeah, so I've
And
already gone out and proven it to
when
myself. I don't need to prove it to others.
I was like 21, so I was still trying to prove that I was Mr. Metalhead. Now I think I've gotten to a point where I don't need to anymore,
Let's
which
see.
is such a great feeling, by the way.
It's a great feeling whenever you realize, yeah, I don't have to get into that fight because
Exactly.
I've already gotten into those fights and proven what I needed to myself that I could endure.
Well, I remember someone asking something like, "Can I still like Metallica even though they're mainstream?" And I'm like, man, I haven't had to ask that question in years.
I've
Like
never asked that question because I didn't sit there and worship the underground.
I just don't
I just
like.
listened to whatever was good.
Yeah. But yeah,
Granted,
but
there were times where it's like, I should really like this band, but then I wound up not, Or this album, fucking, you know,
I had a little bit of
I had
proving.
ideas. It's like, yeah, this is like, metal. Nah, it sucks.
I had a little bit of proving myself, but that was mainly just precociousness. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I don't need to care anymore.
You go through this phase when you're younger, whenever you just start getting really pretentious about shit because remember, whenever you're a kid, especially teenager through your early 20s, you know everything about everything.
Yep.
I mean, hell, before I was even online, I knew everything about everything because I had easy access to libraries. I could have books special ordered. I read, for fun, I'd read textbooks.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I did
I
that.
actually read the textbooks I got from school, most of them, cover to cover, before I'd even, finished the class.
I did that with history books.
Mm-hmm. History was a
So
good one.
yeah, I've done that.
Granted, I always hated tests because it's always like, what's this name and date, not what happened, why did it happen. And, I understand, knowing the name and date gives you a reference point for the society at the time and, the mentality behind the head people in charge. But there was more going on in the background, and, the story is more important to me
I
because you
can
get
never
to
remember
see
dates.
how fucking history repeats or at least rhymes.
I was more interested in chronology than actual specific dates. Like, so I can give you the chronology of like the Civil War and how it ended, but I don't actually remember the date that Lincoln was assassinated. But I know where it lines up in the history of things.
Yeah.
I was never interested in dates. Like years, sure, but I was never I never remembered dates. But I was always interested in, okay, what led to the I mean, what led to the Civil War, the Revolutionary War? How did dissatisfaction go to get to a point of no return?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was interested
You
in
see,
rather
what's
than.
pissing me off about mainstream right now is you got news outlets currently saying peace is bad, nuclear war is good, but they're taking the yuppie angle of it instead of yeah, let's have war. It's more like, well, it's good for the economy if we just nuke each other. A small nuclear war would do us some good. You're fucking yuppie sacks of shit that don't deserve to exist. You're not going for the glory of let's bring humanity to the brink of extinction, chancing full blown extinction, just to have the massive fucking post nuclear wonderland we deserve.
Yeah, but although I did like the joke where in a Futurama fan fiction where Fry doesn't want a gun that can kill people, and Bender goes, What do you mean you don't want to start a war? War's a boon for the economy. Anyone who doesn't like that is just plain un-American."
There you
I
go.
thought that was yeah, but
I can respect that.
well, plus it's motherfucking Bender.
Mm-hmm.
He's helping the world. But yeah, I actually don't want a nuclear war. Interestingly enough, at least not
As
right
much as
now.
I want the post-nuclear wonderland, I want to survive to see it. So that kind of means I kind of have to be against nuclear war, the
Well,
avenue taken to get to post-nuclear wonderland.
look, look, look. I just need to procreate, okay? Then my kids can start the nuclear war.
Yeah, once you're too old to care, there you go.
We press the button.
Good job, kids. I taught you well.
That's my boy. Yeah, exactly. Once I'm too old to care. But just
Grandpa's
think,
proud of you. Nuke the planet. Nuke it into oblivion. Yes. Fucking nuke the whales. Nuke the fucking rainforest. Nuke it all.
but think how proud you'll be in your last moments.
Yeah, I know.
He's glowing with pride, or is that just radiation?
Maybe both.
But yeah, the like I said, I've never understood, especially once you're over the age of. I mean, well, I guess college life and professional level, you there's a pressure to conform, but just damn, why not just be
Well, the
yourself? It's
pressure
more
is
satisfying.
magnified because the number of yuppies that get in that field try to force you to conform. But
Yep.
remember, their conformity comes at a price. They're looking at you as a useful stepping stone to get even more social collateral, to climb that fucking social ladder.
Yep.
So,
Well, and
they're only smiling for you now. The moment it becomes convenient for them, you're stepped on so they could get one rung ahead.
yep. How many times have we heard about? I thought you were my friend.
Well, in role playing games, whenever we role play them, that's because we're evil bastards, And that's what evil people do. They backstab each other. And when the backstabbing becomes apparent, it's like, okay, PvP's on. Time to kill the bastard. Don't go fucking stealing from the party pool. I was going to steal it for myself. Wait, what?
Well, and that's I mean, that's why I mean the whole business life thing is always repulsed me because everyone's out for their own little thing and I don't care who I fuck over. I just want more.
Yeah, there's no loyalty there, no honor, none of that shit.
Yep. Yeah. It's all about
And
just getting.
sometimes it's not even. A lot of times it's not even about the money. It's about the status.
Yep. Well,
So
yeah.
like you could have a fucking company run a company at a huge deficit as long as you're fucking status, But you're
Yeah.
drinking your own piss because you can't afford a water bill.
Well,
But you got the status of running a multi-billion-dollar company into the ground.
I talked about this last episode where I was reading the Mike Edison's book, drummer, porn writer, pot writer, just he's done everything, and he said that his dad used to go to the classical music concert, like symphony, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't do classical music. Anyway, so Mike Edison had I think he had a writing assignment for a newspaper that he was supposed to go to some sort of symphony, and he really liked it. So he actually got into classical music and started going to various places. And he called his dad, who he had a rocky relationship with, thinking, hey, we finally have something in common. Because his dad didn't like the porn or the wrestling mags. Interestingly, he hated wrestling more than porn. And he goes, yeah, I've been going to classical music stuff. Oh, really? And he said, what did you see? And I don't remember the composer because I don't. He's like, oh, I don't like. He's very atonal. I like Beethoven. And Mike goes, Beethoven's atonal, and he pointed out symphonies where Beethoven used atonality or things like that. And the guy, there's no atonality in Beethoven, because it turns out he had no idea what the hell he was listening to. He went to these concerts because that's what he was expected to do, because he was a social climber and he wanted to look presentable. whereas Mike was actually going to these things because he really liked going,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he took an interest in the actual thing, and and so that's yeah. Why would you waste so much time doing stuff that you don't actually like doing just to look good?
Exactly.
I still like the fact that he liked porn was bad, but wrestling was even worse because wrestling was beyond lowbrow.
Mm-hmm. Well, it
Wrestling
appeals to
was
the common guy, so, obviously that's got to be trash. If it appeals to common people, it's got to be trash. That's why Chainsaw Man's trash. And the writer's just insane. Don't listen to him. Don't give him your money. Why do you like Chainsaw Man? Because it's fucking awesome.
oh he
Sometimes you
well
just want to wake up with a chainsaw for a head. I understand this feeling.
who doesn't?
I know. And there's
I
like an actual story involved other than just the gore. And you could see the evolution and shit. It's fucking great. And there's
actually
like an actual moral lesson at the end that like works for kids.
you know
Because kids definitely need that kind of like lesson.
upright morality. You know what? I'm not sure I actually want a chainsaw for a head. How the hell am I supposed to eat waffles?
Oh, you still have a mouth. It
Oh,
just
okay.
covers your eyes, and you don't even use your eyes to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Um, no, he thought wrestling wasn't just the common man. He thought wrestling appealed to the sewer basically.
Which is the
But
common guy to yuppies. I understand.
uh, but yeah, he was very much a social climber and very much I want to look presentable, which is funny because he lived in like Florida. He lived he lived in Florida in a town full of like cocaine dealers and hippies and stuff, but he lived in the gated community part of town, where all the old
Mm-hmm.
folks live. That's actually not part of the town at all and
Not just the
completely
old
unnatural.
folks, but,
Yeah.
the rich people, or at least the upper middle.
Yeah, and they took all the naturalness out and put in their own little thing so that because Mike was always like,
My
why do you live
favorite
in
are like when these rich yuppies try to homestead in the middle of the ghetto, and they realize that they're not stopping any fucking drive-by shootings. It's hilarious.
yeah, I mean that's but I've like I said I've never really wanted to be a social climber or anything because that's life just doesn't seem very fulfilling.
No, it's not, because you're always just trying to stay with whatever the hell is hip and cool, and like I don't care what's hip and cool for you. I just do what's hip and cool for me.
I actively don't like things that are hip and cool, not because they're hip and cool, just because I don't like these things. I mean, if if
I mean, I'm singing praises about Chainsaw Man right now, and that's like one of the most popular anime. And I'm lamenting the fact that Disney has Bleach right now. God, because I have not given Disney money since the '90s. They're still not getting my money. Fuck Disney. You started
um
making trash. You know. I saw Beauty and the Beast. That was good. There was fucking Mulan. That was good. But then I saw fucking Pocahontas, and I was like, okay, your animation department went downhill. Because at the time, their live action department was doing more remakes and fucking trash tier shit, so I already abandoned that side of it. But after Pocahontas, I even abandoned the fucking animation side. So, like, whenever everyone's making a huge stink that, oh my god, they got Star Wars now, it's like, you know what? I enjoyed the prequels. Those were fun and had some interesting ideas to chew about. I loved the originals when I first saw them because, I saw two of them in theaters when they were first released way back in the day, and I got, like, Star Wars confused with Return of the Jedi. I mean, not Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, because I saw Empire Strikes Back first in the theaters, then I saw Star Wars on HBO, and I thought the order was reversed. So that was fun being a kid. But yeah, I love that shit. And the moment I heard Disney got it, I was like, yeah, it's going to turn into trash. And then as soon as it's released, oh my god, it's trash. It's like, yeah, I knew that. That's why I didn't even bother going.
um yeah, but so
So yeah,
uh,
unfortunately they have Bleach now, and I know they're going to censor it for fucking Chinese audiences. which means, less of the good shit you want to see, or, there's going to be something fucked up with it coming along. Disney's just not getting my money out of this.
But so Master of Puppets had a brief thing on the spotlight, and because of some show called Stranger Things and Eddie Munster or something. And so I was like, okay, that's cool that Puppets is, I actually thought it was more known than it was. Although the weird fetishization of metalheads was a bit weird.
Yeah, and it's still kind of ongoing, but it's died down a lot since its initial boost. It's like, oh my god, metalheads are so awesome. Then you meet some, oh my god, they actually have personal tastes and do individual things. Run away. Yuppies can't stand it if you're an individualist.
Well, I saw a yuppie meme of some girl saying, if you take the Eddie Munster or whatever on a date, I don't remember his name. I think it's Eddie something or other. If you take him on a date, he's gonna spend 45 minutes talking about old Iron Maiden B-sides, and then recommend you bands called like Chainsaw Penis or something. I was like, what's the bad part?
Is Chainsaw Penis a band?
No,
I gotta check this out.
No, they're a very bad band.
Okay.
Yeah, if you think Slam's bad, this is worse. But yes, there's a band called Chainsaw Penis. But anyway, I didn't think what the bad thing was, but I still thought when metalheads were being fetishized, I was like, well, we're safe. We're still too ugly.
Yeah, good. I want to fucking be away from these yuppie trash slime balls.
I want you to be a fucking sex symbol.
Oh god.
I would laugh
Me as
so
a sex
hard.
symbol.
Yeah.
That means society has fucking degraded itself to such a point that we're literally eating raw sewage.
Exactly. That's what I want.
I mean, not that I don't fetishize that level of societal collapse, but, just saying, I mean, Boink the Destroyer, the creator of all reality, merely because he went back in time and consumed Azathoth.
See,
he consumed Azathoth as Azathoth was creating itself, and thus is now the creator of all.
you guys know you want this. Make it happen.
Yeah, Boink the Destroyer, would shit on it.
I want
literally,
Jim
defecation is life to him because everything comes from defecation. We evolved from the defecation of some other creature and its rotting carcass.
I want Jim on one of those like fancy talk shows. So Jim, you're the newest thing in town. What do you have to say?
I gotta scratch my balls while I piss my pants.
And also, defecation is the meaning of life.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. That's horrible.
Good. That's what should be popularized and like brought into society.
Exactly. But yeah, so it was cool that although I thought it was annoying that everything became a Stranger. I tried Stranger Things and it was pretty bad when most people were talking about the pop references and the 80s references rather than the actual plot. I mean, I get not wanting to give anything away, but if you don't even say, yeah, and the plot, I don't want to give it away, but it's really, really good. And everyone's talking about, oh my God, they used a Kate Bush song or they used a Metallica song. That doesn't speak volumes. I tried season 1 of Stranger Things, and it seemed more like an 80s reference thing than any sort of plot device.
I haven't seen it at all yet. A couple cool people were praising it, but I heard way too many yuppies praise it, and that kind of made me not want to fucking watch it.
That's what annoyed me is every cool person was praising it, and I tried it, and I just was like, okay, 80s references, and yeah, the plot has some interesting ideas, but it's more of a reference. Like I said, I hear more about.
Sometimes yuppies get it right, but with like how they were sucking on, like you said, the references, that was a huge thing they were praising. And I was like, I don't care about references.
There's nothing wrong with a couple references.
I mean, if it happens and I like the thing they're referencing, cool. But like it's not like something that draws me in.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with references, and we reference stuff all the time.
Uh-huh.
But if that's all you talk about, if there's no discussion of the plot, even if it's, oh, I don't want to give it away, but you have to watch it, it's amazing.
Yeah, you don't even go that far. That says something.
All you talk about is Metallica or Kate Bush or, oh my God, they made a reference to this or that. I don't know. That doesn't. Like I said, I tried watching in season 1 and I didn't care for it, so I haven't watched. I didn't even know it was still on until the Metallica thing blew up.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was cool. I mean, I'm not gonna like some metalhead said in all seriousness that he's not going to listen to puppets anymore because it was mainstream now.
What the fuck? You're a moron.
Yeah.
You need bludgeoned with a brick.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes. Allegedly, yes. You need to be allegedly bludgeoned. But I never understood that mindset. I mean, maybe if you're like 14 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I mean, just weird.
Yeah, I got this to say.
you left it all when there's no one left to fall upon. When there ain't nothing left to do, call upon the wrecking crew. We're gonna walk all over you, 'cause we are the wrecking crew. We are the wrecking crew. We're wrecking that wrecking crew.
right. That first one was Overkill with Wrecking Crew.
From the Taking Over LP, their second album, um, thrash classic, of course. I mean, it's Overkill.
And the second one was Exhorter with Legions of Death.
From
Off of.
Slaughter in the Vatican.
There we go. This glorious
And
shit.
if you haven't heard that album for whatever reason, and you're thinking, hey, that sounds like a Scott Burns production job, that's because it was. Which is weird. He was mostly known for death metal. He didn't really do thrash. Some people say that production's a little out of place, but I like it. It's one of the first thrash groove albums. See, I didn't even say the word Pantera.
Yes.
What I was gonna say.
Have to play some Pantera sometime just to piss you off again. Because I did it once already. I'll do it again. You know it.
You can do it. I'll fucking give you a trend kill. Anyway, my only thing about the whole Master of Puppets thing and Stranger Things was, and I get why they did puppets because it was recognizable, but oh come on, give me like an Overkill song or something. I want to see Overkill elevated to. I mean, they deserve some money.
Yeah, why the hell have someone that God Lars?
Well, that was.
Fucking Lars sues toddlers into fucking complete servitude. So one time heard 3 seconds of Metallica illegally. So now this toddler, 3 years old, has to spend the rest of its life working just to pay Metallica. That's what Lars Ulrich does.
That was the joke when the whole thing blew up. It's like, oh wow, thanks Stranger Things for helping this little known band called Metallica. I wonder if they'll ever get anywhere. It's they're one of the biggest rock bands in the world. I mean, if any band has transcended metal, it's them. They are one of the biggest rock bands in the world. But yeah, right.
Yeah, well, we gotta enslave all 3-year-olds that listen to 3 seconds of Metallica illegally, so that Lars can have another solid gold swimming pool.
Allegedly. We don't want to be sold into Metallica slavery.
Yeah, by bad-mouthing them.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
You'll have to clean a solid gold swimming pool.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I could probably drum for him on the albums.
But yeah, Lars isn't even the best drummer in Metallica. Well, I don't know.
No, Hetfield is much better.
Yeah.
But and people were making fun of, oh my God, you're just discovering puppets now. And to which I say, hey, if you discovered puppets, you've gotten to metal now because of Stranger Things.
Cool. I'll show you some bands.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wants to know where the hell have you been, but yeah, stick around and see what happens.
Well, you also have to remember, kids, they're not looking at like the oldies, okay? Because, like I said, back to the whole entire bit war thing I said earlier, going up, it's like, wow, it's full motion video, it's awesome. And the graphics are just awesome. Everything that's current is awesome. Then they bump into something old, just out of the blue because someone played it, and it turns out to be 10 times more awesome than anything that they fucking know currently because they're so caught up in the current age. They're following what's current and everything that's new because everything's new to them, so they're chasing the new high, and then they found something old which is new to them. And they're like, oh my God, where the fuck did this come from? You got the old people, some of them are mocking them, others like, yeah, you want to hear some other shit?
And I understand. I was a bit of a weird kid because I was into stuff from the 80s and, when I was 12, 13, punk and metal and stuff.
I mean, I was like 6, 7 years old listening to like oldies, Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. I really don't know why, but it just happened. So yeah, I understand that I was a bit of a weird kid listening to 20-year-old albums back then or whatever, but yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'm sitting there, 6 years old listening to Lou Armstrong, who the fuck does that in the 80s whenever Michael Jackson's king? Well, Michael Jackson sucks. Armstrong was good.
Well, yeah, He is better. So yeah, if you've gotten into and you've discovered some new bands and stuff, maybe even got into some heavier stuff. That's that's cool, and you know. But
You know,
if you're 36 if you're 37 years old and just getting into puppets, then I do have to wonder where the hell have you been.
either that or they're just
Come on.
complete yuppies following the current trend, and now that's fallen out, you don't hear from them anymore.
Well, yeah, duh. But yeah, it's funny. I never. It's also kind of interesting. So when you were a kid, when you were listening to Louis Armstrong, you
Mhm.
did have a sense that was old music, though, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
I knew it.
like you.
It was on 3WS, which is the
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Oldies station.
So it was weird for me because even though I knew that those bands were from the 80s, they never sounded old to me. I think because I identified so much with what they were singing about and the emotion, they always sounded. I mean,
And the fucking
to
musical style and all that.
yeah,
You know?
to me they sounded. Like nowadays, shit. When you were playing Kill 'Em All, I was like, I had to think that album's gonna be 40 years old next year.
Yeah.
Like I can register that in my mind, but I don't feel it. It doesn't feel 40 years old.
I feel it, but that's because my body feels like it is. I'm almost 50. I'll be
Well-
48 next year.
47.
Yeah, I think you're right. 47. I got my years mixed up.
That's
That's how old I am. I'm losing it. I got the fucking senility, fuckers. I can't even count anymore, and I used to be a math major. I can't even count. I can't go from like 22 to 23. What the fuck? And I used to be a math major.
What's 2 plus 2?
47. Oh, wait, no, that's 47. The god of Hitman. 3. No, wait, no, that's socialist garbage. 4. There we go.
You proved your own point so well by accident.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it's so. I guess that's kind of the difference. Is I never. Whereas Black Sabbath did sound old because of the recording technology. I mean, still awesome, of course. I love Sabbath, but I could understand that Sabbath was a lot older because the recording sounded a lot older. You know, the it wasn't quite as distorted and things like that. So yeah, it's I like I said, it never really registered that it was older music until I actually saw some of these bands live, and I was like, oh yeah, they're ancient.
You know, I will say that if someone posts a picture of Hitman 47 on my birthday, you'll get a special nod.
Alrighty. So do that, folks.
Yeah, just saying, months ahead of time, I'll probably forget about it, and then they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I get the joke now. Okay.
Well, the joke every birthday is the groundhog comes out of its thing, sees you, and tries to end its
Screams.
life.
Yeah, it tries disemboweling itself with a spork.
Oh God. But yeah, so I tend to forget how old these albums really are. It's funny because like people treat death metal like it's still a new thing. Meanwhile, like if you Possessed is 7 Church is going to be like 40 in a couple of years. Even Cannibal Corpse's albums are over 30.
Yeah.
So it's like death metal's not new, but people still treat it like, which I think speaks volumes for how good it is and how that people still, people.
It is good shit.
I mean, Metallica's Kill 'Em All should be dad rock, and I guess it is in the sense that a lot of thrashers now have kids or whatever. But
And
if you tried
grandkids. And great-grandkids.
great grandkids. Well, but if you tried playing that on like the dad rock station, they would throw you. Shit, Napalm Death's first album is 35 years old.
Yeah.
Try playing that on, KLOS or whatever. So it's
Next
amazing
on
that
3WS, it's gonna be Cannibal Corpse eaten back to life.
followed by Napalm Death's Scum. So it's kind of amazing how well these things have aged. But yeah, so that's something Mustaine said when he remastered Megadeth stuff, is that the kids want to listen to stuff that sounds contemporary and modern or whatever. But I do think people grew out of that. I mean, like when I was a kid, Slipknot sounded heavier than Puppets, because you're right, the production was a lot louder. It was a lot, heavier as in bassy.
Another thing is, as you start your journey and you actually listen to the different riffs being played and how they're being played,
Yeah.
you pick up on different intricacies, and you realize that Slipknot doesn't have any intricacy to it. They fake it by putting in sample scratches or whatever, or switching vocal styles, but that's it's gimmicky. But then you hear true intricacy, and sometimes the intricacy wasn't even intentional. It's just how the pickups on the guitar picked up how they were switching chords, and that added another element to the original song. That's why, the original fucking cuts of Megadeth albums are so much better than the fucking remasters.
Well, and you're exactly right about listening to the sound design or production, because when I was a kid, I thought the remasters were great because, like I said, they were a lot louder, they were a lot bassier, they were a lot heavier. And I thought oh yeah, Puppets is cool, but man, Slipknot's so much heavier. And then as I grew up a little bit, I was like, you know what? That's the production. That's not the actual music. When you actually start listening to the music itself, I mean, Black Sabbath is still some of the heaviest shit ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how low you tune your guitars down and how the riffs in Black Sabbath, the song, are so heavy.
Watch as those flames get higher and higher.
I mean,
oh, please, God, help me. Love that shit.
I mean, yeah, there's productions that, but I think riff wise that it's still so heavy and ominous.
Mm-hmm. Well, kids go after, the flashy, bright images and,
Yep.
clear-cut sounds and stuff, and, listening and watching the quality of it, and that even goes down to the fucking gameplay.
I do remember hearing my first demos and of 80s bands, and this sounds really muddy, but it also sounds like you're the reason I liked the rawer sound was it sounded like you were in a rehearsal room with the band. It didn't sound like you were listening to a recorded album. It sounded like you could have been right there in the rehearsal room.
Or while they were practicing in the garage, just having a beer with the band,
Yeah, or something like that. And yeah, they make a couple mistakes and stuff, but it's like, wow, this sounds a lot more, I don't know, organic than some of these guys. It's like symphonics and stuff, and they spend a year in the recording. And I'm not saying those albums are bad, but yeah, demos were. I mean, as you know, death metal albums that are recorded on no budget.
Yeah, I remember whenever we were trying to form our own band, and at the time I think we were using the name Population Control until we found out Population Control was taken by some pussy-ass fucking punk band. So we changed it to the International Department of Population Control before realizing no one would be able to say that. But what we did to record our demo, which was just guitars and some guy growling into a shitty-ass microphone that was built in to the fucking boombox.
Oh, yeah?
Was, we found some old religious tapes where, some preacher was talking. So we'd let it play for a little bit, then record. So you hear, and then on the third day, God said, "This is population control."
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That is. You were doing samples, and you didn't even know they were called samples.
Oh, we knew they were called samples. We were at least around long enough to know that, but we had a tape that just had pre-made samples, so we recorded over parts of it, then would let it play through part of the sermon, and then throw another thing on.
Nice.
If we were actually good, it would have kicked ass, but we sucked.
Oh, well. Hey, still. It was probably a lot of fun.
Oh, it was. I wonder if that tape still exists. I gotta check with Stern. Maybe he's still got it somewhere if he didn't record
If it
over
exists,
it already.
If it exists, I want a download.
I still want to get the one tape because Jeff had this blank tape lying around, and I popped it in and started recording just for shits and giggles. And this was the day, and I didn't know what the hell would happen that day. But what happened was his girlfriend called, and then he had to take a piss, so he had to go up from the basement. So he gave me the phone and said, talk to her, keep her entertained, whatever. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking shit on him all the time, So he comes down and hears this. I don't notice him, and he goes around the corner, picks up a crossbow, and then I see him getting ready to aim the crossbow at me. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to shoot a crossbow at me. And your girlfriend said that she won't talk to you if you'll kill me. I'm not going to kill you, Jim. I'm going to maim you. She says that. No. Patink. Ah, that fucking hurts. That fucking hurts. He shot a crossbow bolt and it stuck in my ass.
Yes, I want a copy of that. I want to hear that.
I don't think it exists anymore, but dear God, that would have been like a meme online.
That is hilarious. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to maim you. No.
Ah, there's a crossbow bolt in my ass.
I don't know what the
the
lesson
entire
here.
reason he had the crossbow was that, a year prior, we had won it from the county fair. I had to use my ID because I was 18 at the time. No, I was over 16, so I was able to get... That's right, I was like 16, 17 at the time. And, he was younger, so I used my ID to get it as a prize because he got it from one of those, put the ring around the knife things.
Yep.
And so that's how he had it. It was a fucking carny prize, and he had gotten real crossbow bolts for it.
I'm not quite sure what the lesson here is because I've talked shit about you to your girlfriends all the time.
Oh, I'll just have to shoot the crossbow bolt in the ass, so you know what it feels like. Not to prove any point, not because I'm pissed off, just to let you know what it feels like. This is a crossbow bolt in the ass. Jim, what are you, Pank? Ah! I told you I'd show you what it felt like, but you wouldn't listen.
Yes. And then you wake up one day to see a bulldozer beside your bed.
Hey, just remember the legend of Forklift Jim.
Exactly. I got so pissed that I couldn't drive that I decapitated you.
Yeah, my head went onto a forklift and it became sentient with my brain. I was going killing rampages, and the first person I kill is Elliot. And then I put his face on my tailpipe, so he's constantly breathing exhaust.
But the reason that you get work is because you killed all the competition.
Exactly.
You destroyed all the other forklifts, so they have to hire you out. But yeah, so and again, I mean the fact that I had the thoughts, not necessarily about Forklift Jim, but morbid thoughts and shit, and wow, I must be the only one in the world with these thoughts because I was a kid and I didn't know anything.
I mean, I thought that until I started bumping into people and hearing shit.
Exactly.
The mental institution actually let me think, wow, there's a lot of people like this. Then I get back to regular school. Oh shit, nobody's like this. I went from being one of the most popular kids on the schoolyard to the guy that was one of the most bullied.
See, I didn't have I did have like group psychologist sessions or whatever, but they were all just people who were like I don't know, in group homes or whatever, like detention home, like not juvie, but not sort of like prison, but it's a home. Mm-hmm. And like it was one of those things where if you don't do exactly what they say, you're called AWOL and they send the police after you. I was like, wow, how bad? My question. I never asked but how badly do you have to fuck up to get in one of these? This
Usually
sounds like hell on
arson,
earth.
Grand Theft Auto, murder. They usually keep you in juvie until you turn 18.
Most of them were, I believe, gang activities and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like, wow, I don't want to end up like that. I they it's funny because everyone liked the even though I was the sheltered kid from sheltered fat kid, they all liked me because I could talk to them about and about punk and stuff like that. I've always gotten along with the low lives. Just I mean I've the me and the puke gang and things like that, and look who I'm friends with now. I've always gotten along with the low lives more than the yuppies.
Hell yeah, always go with the scumbags. They're
Well,
good people.
they're
Well, you at least know who they are, if they're going to be good or not, because they wear it on their sleeve. You know what the fuck's up with them. They're honest about it. You know if someone's a liar because everyone knows they are.
yep.
Someone's
And
going to
I,
betray you because they're that kind of slime ball. But you also get to know who's loyal, who's going to be there for you, because it's all there. It's not like all pageantry and smiling faces, like polite society, which needs to burn. Because they're just going to polite the society is derived from politics. Back in the day, were all like lords, ladies, fiefdoms, and shit like that. And guess who was the kings and queens of fucking backstabbing? Just to get ahead and get more fucking clout so they could get more land or whatever. So yeah,
they
there's polite society has never been this thing where people are polite. It's always been the facade of being polite while secretly looking to move your own station forward.
and people always misunderstand this. Oh yeah, I bet you're friends with like serial killers and mafia guys. I'm like, well, I knew a couple people who were into like gangs and stuff, but we were never close friends. When I say low life, like small time things, and obviously I'm not gonna
Or
like,
even if someone's never really broken a law aside from maybe go above the speed limit, they're usually, the guy that sits there drunk on his front lawn trying to fix his bike, not realizing
yeah.
that they're too drunk to know where the carburetor goes.
But we're not saying hang out with like the people with spider web tattoos on their faces or whatever, who
Yeah.
but because or whenever we say abandoned polite society, they say, oh yeah, we'll just go and kill people for money or whatever, commit crime. They don't understand the subtleties of
Yeah,
you don't
because
even
they gotta think black and white instead of, no, that's not the case, because polite society wants to destroy you just so that whatever elements of it can get ahead, whereas scumbags, they already know where the fuck they are in life, and like
yep.
I said, they usually just work dead end, go nowhere jobs, because they gotta get a fucking meal, but they're nice
Yep.
to hang out with, because, they'll treat you with respect. And not hollow respect, just waiting for the moment to put a knife in your back. No, true respect.
Yep, and if you do run into some, mafia guys or some really scary guys, well, hey, it's an adventure.
And you don't have to associate with them. You can just walk the other way and realize that, maybe going to the cops is a bad idea in this instance because they
Yeah.
didn't do anything in this instance, and I don't want them to know that I did it.
Well, yeah, I met a couple people like that. I was like, you know what? It's not my scene.
I'm just
Like,
going to go over here and drink my beer with these guys.
yeah, I'm just gonna go listen to metal. But thanks. It's I. God, can you imagine a blind gangster?
Yeah, I'm going on a drive-by. You just murdered everyone in the car and wrecked because everyone you were driving with it was shot in the
Yeah.
head by you. You didn't aim it out the window. You aimed it into the car. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm blind. Oh, okay. You get a pass then. Want to go on another drive-by?
No, you can't go. We're taking your AK-47 away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my thing is just find people who you respect and respect you. It might take some time, and it might be a long process.
And there's always effort involved with maintaining friendships and shit. It's not like, oh wow, we agree on the same things. It's more, I can respect someone for differing.
Yeah, and you're always gonna have disagreements and arguments and stuff. Not just
You're
in
gonna get into
relationships,
fights,
but
especially whenever you date. But you gotta know how to deal with them and what the fuck to do when they do happen, because it will. Because anytime you get two people in a room together, there's gonna be a disagreement of some sort, and that's gonna fucking go into a full-fledged argument.
yes, especially when you're friends with a formerly smart but incredibly idiotic old guy.
Or some fucking blind kid who should have just walked into the chipper shredder when he was 3.
Well, I had the option, but I thought, nah, I'm gonna torment the world.
And now you're stuck tormenting me. What the fuck did you do that for?
One person at a time, my friend.
Yeah, that's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. A psychopath is venting his rage against the world. A sociopath is making the world a better place, one victim at a time.
I always, well, of course it's easy to get. I think which one is the one who can't actually feel love, and which one is the one who can? I always forget that.
I think that's sociopath that can't feel love normally.
Yeah, who I mean they
Psychopath has emotions and shit, but they're also like really high on the like where they're both high on the antisocial scale. The psychopath's more likely to follow through, whereas the sociopath will actually take into account, can I get away with this?
Yeah, and
At least I think
know,
that's how it was explained to me years ago. It might be, I might get it all wrong.
Well, I know one
that
of
was
them.
back when I was smart, and now I'm not.
I know one of them can kind of simulate, emotions, but can't, doesn't really believe in love other than what can he do for me. Whereas the other actually has people they care about, but just has other that they just don't.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I can feel actual love, and I can feel actual loss of love. I mean, I remember when 2018, I was like, Jim, can we do a live stream? I'm sad.
Okay, we'll do something.
So
then,
we did. We watched a necrophagy DVD. But see, you know what the scary thing about Jim is, guys, that he actually can surprise me with some of his remaining brain power. I mean, he's pretty damn creative.
I want WrestleMania to be a thing.
With Guar as the referee.
No, well, the whole thing is with WrestleMania, it's just a bunch of like people in their 60s, 70s, 90s, even, that decided that kids today are too pussified. So they decided to take a shit ton of like mutagens and steroids and painkillers, and even got cybernetic enhancements so they could just keep wrestling until they become itty bitty pieces. And they don't do any normal wrestling, No, it's all hardcore matches. Only the finest. The next bout is scheduled for immolation.
Until their bodies literally just break down.
And there's nothing left. You can't even piece it back together with a brain in a jar. You can't even put the brain back in the robot now.
That is awesome. That is a fantastic concept.
Yeah.
How many of them die during the wrestling matches?
Well, there's usually one per pay-per-view. You don't
Good.
know if it's old age taking them or if they were just finally brutalized to the point that the brain can't come back. Time for the greatest annual fucking pay-per-view of them all, the Rondo of Roids. We're taking wrestling to the next level, kids. This is the event where all fates are decided and all championships are on the line.
I'd watch that. I'm not even a big wrestling fan, but I'd watch that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was one thing I was never really a big wrestling fan but whenever I worked Ladbrokes, which was an off-track betting site, they'd have like people come in to watch the pay-per-views for like $5, and like at the time like they were still doing a lot of hardcore matches, and I just like watching people getting hit with like a fucking saw blade and slammed with a chair, thrown through tables, and just all kinds of like barbed wire everywhere. It was great.
Yeah, I was never really. I think I saw about 5 seconds of an ECW match on TNN because it was right after Monster Jam. And I always thought wrestling was like boxing. I'd seen boxing on like ESPN or whatever. And it was, yeah, they fought and stuff, but it was like a professional announcing team or whatever. But the 5 seconds of wrestling that I saw, some guy was threatening to hit a woman with the chair, and the announcer's saying, if he does, I'm going to beat his ass. So I was like, okay, this is different. This is more like a show.
This is like, something okay. I want to see, where they like, intentionally throw a bunch of glass and break it on the ground just to grab some guy, take him to the top turnbuckle, and throw him into the fucking broken glass. And sometimes they slam them into the broken glass, so they're also getting broken glass into them. It's great.
I have more respect for wrestling now that I read Mike Edison's books and understand, because when I was a kid, yeah, I thought wrestling, it wasn't the common man. I thought wrestling was for people who probably dropped out of the first grade, or because I understood that wrestling was fake, but in my little kid mind, I thought that people watching it didn't know it was fake. And
it's rigged, but it's not fake.
Well,
you're still getting thrown around. And sometimes they hold real matches, where like the winner's up in the air to actually show skill. And other times, the ending's scripted, but from the start of the match to like the end, as long as it ends the way we want, you could do whatever the fuck you want in the middle.
Yeah. You know what I mean by fake, though.
Scripted, there was one match I watched where, like, there was, like, a bunch of, like, hitting people with chairs and tables and shit. And, like, at the end, the one guy was about to slam this dude. And, like, I could swear the dude that he was about to slam just looked down on him and mouthed the words, "Dude, I think I've had enough. Just end it." So, like, he fell back. So instead of slamming him, he fell backwards and let him pin him.
Yes, but so I
mean, they were both exhausted enough where it was believable, but you could tell he's like, "Dude, I had enough." And you didn't hear it on mic, but you saw the words mouth.
Yeah, I thought people watched wrestling the same way I watched racing, basically, because I thought, and I was like, oh, come on, this is clearly scripted. And what I didn't realize was people watched it for the theater. They even if you can predict who won, or even if they watch it for the theater. It's escapism. It's a way to turn your brain off, and a lot of people watch it to wow, that's a pretty good move, or a lot of people watch it because they like the moves. But
and there are people with some very high skill there, more than capable, and they're all, and like especially with the hardcore match shit, they're all fucking experienced stuntmen who know how to fucking roll, whenever things get dangerous,
Well, yeah, and now there's MMA fighters getting into wrestling because like that's where the money is.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a lot of MMA fans are going fucking sellouts, but it's like, well, okay, but
they got the skill and they want to retire.
Yeah.
I mean, so why not make some money before retirement? You already proved yourself in the one ring. Time to go to the other and make some money so you can retire.
So yeah, but when I was growing up, I was, a bit of a snob, and I thought, well, people who watch it must think it's, it's like a proper sport. What a bunch of inbred rednecks, which is funny considering my dad's from Texas, but hey, But now I still really don't have an interest in watching it. But I also liked the video games were fun, as you know.
Oh God, there was the one video game. It was one of the SmackDown versus Raws, and like we had the full roster with our created mutants in it, and like it was one of the ones where you could set up your own pay-per-views, and the one pay-per-view was the death of John Cena. Where, like, it was, like, it started off with, like, a handicap hardcore match then like a tables, ladders, chair match with 6 people. Then it was like a last man standing match where John Cena had to keep going through the entire roster. And like he's already beaten the hell from the first 2 matches, and now just everyone starts coming for him. After that, he was injured for like 137 weeks.
Just, that's over 2 years.
And then we fired him.
So 2 years of being in the hospital
Yeah.
and constant agonizing pain. Then he gets out, and by the way, you're fired.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the moment he becomes conscious, you're fired. What? This is the way we fired you.
2.5 years of wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so I like the game, but I was never really into. I know some wrestlers now because the one guy's in like a hard rock band, and but yeah, I guess don't be a snob.
Yeah, well, speaking of. All right, that first one was Stalker with Ripped to Pieces.
I believe that's off a new EP coming out on Napalm Records very soon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be called Cranking Evil.
Yes,
All right,
they're a speed metal band from New Zealand,
good shit. The next one was Abysmal Lord with Anti-Semen of Ceremonial Pseudo-Christ.
which is from their new album released December, I believe it is. I don't think they've set an actual date. On Hell's Headbangers, that's some good war metal from Louisiana. That's if anyone tells you that, modern production is just so plasticky, just show them that.
And I think the album's going to be called Bestiary of Immortal Hunger.
Yes, yes. Abysmal Lord, one of my favorite bands. They share a label with Deceased, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, Hell's Headbangers, and it's good, filthy. I love that type of production. That just like I said, it almost feels like you're in the rehearsal room with the band. As opposed to some studio experience. And that's, like when I was growing up, I never, like I said, I never thought that anyone around me would ever like wow, if I could find people who like music that raw. And it took time, and I didn't settle. I think that's, don't settle for just, oh, here, it's a metal thing, and they like metal, and I like some metal, so I'll, try to fit in somehow.
I mean, especially trying to kiss up to a group to belong to. God, I was like checking out some shit, and some chick was like, yeah, I got fucking, I went to when I was a teenager, I went to my first D&D, thing, and I was turned off to it for like decades because, they pretty much just ganged up on my character and shit. And I was like, well, okay, either A, they saw that you were evil aligned because you were describing an evil character and figured, PvP was on, or B, they were fucking a bunch of snobs that you just fell in the wrong group. It wasn't a constant thing everywhere. You just fell in the wrong group for your first experience, and that happens a lot more often than you think, because you'll get the dungeon master that thinks it's my story and things gotta be railroaded in my way. Or it's like, yeah, I got a story, and I still generally follow it, depending upon what your actions are. I mean, it took you poisoning a city with fucking hallucinogens, failing to do so, and accidentally framing someone for me to say, all right, so the gnome has cast hold person on you while you were sleeping, so you can't move now. And she lifts her breeches and pisses on your face, screaming, I own you now. So now you have to do work for me, and this problem needs done. Do it.
I do kind of get, I was pretty lucky that I had you as the first DM who, let me, because I've seen others where if I had them as my first, I'm not sure I would have gone back, because I would have had a really, oh, okay, it's just basically you have to go into the stupid dungeon thing and do. I was like, yeah, dungeon's cool, but let's go into town.
Well, the Boink campaign, as it's lovingly called among my friends, that was like fucking. I had a huge story. I spent 6 months planning the whole damn thing. But, all kinds of branches and trees, and everything was designed for, like, a neutral and good aligned bunch of heroes. First thing that happens is they decided to choose evil alignment. Well, there went half the notes, then another quarter of the notes went away just because of how they played it. But I still kept my story going. And instead of, trying to kill the big bad because he's evil, they went to kill the big bad because he didn't stay dead. Don't you ever come back to life after I kill you. It's the principle of the matter. I killed you, you stay dead.
That's how I felt when what's his name, Tartuccio was resurrected as Tartuk. Like, you have defied my death. You
Stay
have
dead.
defied
We're
my
going
blade.
trolls all the way.
That remind that reminds me when people talk about complaining, that vampire game that we were somewhat addicted to for about 3 months there,
Yeah.
and someone actually kept messaging me, "Stop hitting my character! Stop killing my character!" I was like, "Well, you're a higher level than me, and I can kill you, so
I need the
um,
experience.
yeah, you're screwed."
And,
And
and
then
it's the way the game's structured. People killed me all the time. I just resurrected and went about my killing spree as usual.
exactly,
It was
and
like a 5 second pause. Wow.
well, it's a bitch if you don't pay for it, and I understand that, but at the same time, and finally, when I actually, I think she was like level 5 or something like that, and I was like level 2, so she was worth a lot of blood, right?
Yeah.
And finally, when I got to her level and passed her, I sent her a message, "Hey, good news, I won't be killing you anymore. You're useless to me."
Because you're too low experience yield. Your
But
use. The
but
fact that you have so little experience of no consequence, I don't care about killing you
I
anymore.
was level 2 and you were level 5. I should not have. I mean, unless it was that one guy, because the one guy who's like level 800, but he massively levels down to give us smaller players a chance to get a lot of experience in
Yeah.
in our group or whatever. But you're like level 5 and I'm like level 2. I should not kill you. I should be murdered. And
Exactly.
that's what I always found funny is because I spent like I got the big armor and stuff, so I would see like level 12 players die from my level 5 ass or whatever. It was like, and some of them actually messaged me, "Damn, I can't I keep dying. What am I doing wrong?"
Well, I kept dying too to people more powerful than me, so what's
Well,
the
no, no, no,
point?
no. But no, he was way more higher. He was way higher than I was. But every time he challenged me to a fight, whenever there was no one left, he would be the one who would die. And so he kept messaging me. "I can't believe I keep dying because of you. What did you do that I didn't do?" I was like, "Well, I said something like, 'I'm not giving away my secret.'" And you go, "Fair point."
The secret was I gave him tools.
Yeah,
Because I was like so far ahead of him. I had
yeah.
access to like more money, and I was like, here you
Yes,
go.
thank you so much. It was fun, but I realized that I had to actually get shit done, so we kind of left it. And
Yeah.
it was pretty fun, I guess. It was a
It
it was
was
a
just a point and click thing where everything's text, and it was like the mindless, early stage of fucking Facebook games where you just click, see if you win or lose, and that's it. It wasn't, and all
yeah.
you could do is prepare for the battle, and the preparations were like, do you have the right gear and level?
What turned me off wasn't that, it was the text games you could do, but you had to be really careful about consent and things like that. And I was like, it's a damn vampire. The vampire's not going to ask before it. Although there were some weird mind control fetishists on there that I thought were very interesting.
That's good.
I don't know if you can see it, but I've spent so much time in that rabbit hole. I could spot someone who gets off on that.
Yeah, well, you write for that, so, there's that.
Yes, it's sort of like um, the drummer for the band No Effects was talking about. He can tell if someone is a heroin addict because he was a heroin addict, and so he knows what it's like. It's like I could tell when I was reading some of the forum posts. I was like, "Oh yeah, I could tell what you're into." But
Yep.
yeah, so yeah, it was just point and click, but point and click can be weirdly fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, this is different than the normal point and click adventures where, like, you have lots of options and,
yeah,
3, 4 options per scene, and then, like,
yep. But yeah, I remember somebody, like I said, somebody was complaining, "Stop killing me!" It's like, I I get it can be frustrating, especially if you're in the middle of something, but that's the way the game's played.
Yep, that's the whole way it's designed, and I can't. And your easy experience.
Yep,
And once that
you were
well dries up, I'm gonna just leave it be.
yep, you were delicious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the people complain, and or the people like I was in the metal, but they were so mean to me, and they called me lame for listening to Pantera. It's like, yeah, and
Oh God, I still get that to this day. And you're gonna
yes,
be
you
called lame. And here's the news flash: most of the time, it's joking and friendship. If you sit there and take offense to it, well, now it's no longer in friendship. You sit there and roll the punches, you'll get to call them lame for liking something that's pathetic too. It's great.
yes, you lame wad.
Mm-hmm. You fucking punk ass idiot that don't fucking know the damn hole from the damn fucking hole in the ground. It's a wet hole. I know, but like you just can't fucking fuck any hole. No, it's gotta be a fucking pussy or asshole, maybe a mouth, but not like a fucking a hole in the ground. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Go fuck a chipmunk again.
Or you could pull a complete Sephiroth and fuck your mom, do 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 do, fuck your mom, do 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 do. It's a great orchestral number.
But again, I mean, like I said, find people who like your thing and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But and you know, I've always thought, I mean, friends give each other shit. It's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would be a lot more bored if, oh, let's not tease the blind kid or whatever. That would be extremely boring.
I'm still
Although,
gonna lead you off a cliff one of these days.
I'm gonna lead you into hell. Oh wait, no, you like hell. Never mind. I'll lead you into heaven.
Oh well. I've had worse.
But I mean, although I do like pointing out, especially the voice of the voiceless types, whenever they make fun of like how my looks or whatever, I'm like, wow, making fun of the looks of a blind guy. That's interesting, especially because you're a voice of the voiceless type.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go fuck off.
Yeah.
I could tell you're hollow platitude because you're trying to speak for me instead of letting me speak. It was the same thing years ago whenever fucking, mental health issues were like, kind of still kind of shunned instead of being fully embraced. And God, you don't want to embrace all of them. Dear God, there's some real winners out there. You don't want fucking, oh God. Things I've seen in Looney Bin. It was actually good that it was kind of shunned to the side of society instead of embraced, and now everyone can be it. No, I understand, you want people to go out and get help that need it, but on the other hand, praising it to such a high degree that no, you don't want a lot of these disorders to be in charge of anything over your life, because your life's just going to be totally fucked then.
Yeah, like the OCD that makes people want to kill their families. I don't think you want to be that in charge of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a bit of a scary prospect there.
Yeah, I grew up in a mental institution, and I know this. It's like, yeah, give me a chance to, make my own way, but at the same time, you don't need to be worshiping me. Unless I am God, then that's different.
Dog.
No, you're going to be my blind prophet, and you're going to lead people in the desert for 40 years. Then we'll have a holy war over which version of dissident aggressor is better. We still have to figure out who's taking which side in that debate, Slayer or the priest original, but, we're going to have a holy war over it.
But that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I do get a dune buggy, right?
Yeah. I want to make certain it keeps going around in circles, which is why you're stuck in the desert for 40 years.
Yeah, but I'm so high, I think I'm going somewhere.
Yeah. And you're blind, so you don't even really notice it.
Yeah.
And you just tell people, quit their bitching or the gym will come.
I'm telling
Mine
you guys.
eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Jim. He is slaughtering everybody that is not him. He hates us all and wants us dead because we're all human. Jim will kill us all. The Jim will kill us. The Jim will kill us. The Jim will kill us. Jim will kill us all. Come on, everybody.
I just had this image of you on a tank as it's driving through like a burnt out city, like there's flames in the background, and you're just standing on this tank with a megaphone with like a big ass brass band behind you.
Yeah, while people are crying, maimed in the streets. Oh my God, my family, my arm. And this is all they hear.
That's an image, man. You gotta use that.
Yeah, I should.
Now the only thing is we need to get you to actually sing in time for once.
I know. But it's
God,
great.
take 684. Your voice is like shot. But yeah, see, I looked for people, and unfortunately, I found this person. But I lost my train. I actually had a pretty good point. Now I've lost it because he started singing. You're broken.
I broke him. I broke him good. That's great. I like breaking.
Oh yeah, so I swear, guys, we're almost there. He keeps going around in circles. Don't tell him that.
Jim will come for us, and if he doesn't, then the blind kid will. We'll be sacrificed as an honor of the Jim. We're fucked either way. We made our beds. We joined this cult. We're fucked.
Yes, and if you leave, then you're lost in the desert.
Yeah.
Good luck. There has to be a couple of guys who leave and like become skeletons and just kind of wander the desert.
Yeah.
As a testament to your
glory.
This is what happens if you leave.
And because you're driving around in circles, you'll eventually stumble across them.
Yes. Hey, is that Freddy? Skeleton. So yeah, like I said, find people. Don't just settle. Find people who you get along with. Not, and life will be a lot more rewarding.
Yeah.
I have a lot more laughs here than I would if, well, okay, I'll join this metal show and then, yeah. So what about the new Slipknot album? Kill me.
God,
kill me. Kill me.
Kill me.
Whatever, so. Well,
we were both saying "kill me," without even prompting a unison thing.
No.
That was the initial reaction.
Well, yeah, I don't like Slipknot. But yeah, that's a path I could have gone down, if I had just settled for whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're not as hardcore and you're in a hardcore metal group, maybe find someone less hardcore. I mean, I get it. The hardcore thing could be a little extreme for people who aren't used to it. I'm not stupid. I understand this. Find people who you like. Yes, we'll call you posers and puds and all that, but wouldn't you be happier?
I'm still being called a poser and pud. It's great.
Well, you are a poser and pud. But wouldn't you be happier around...
You fucking duty head.
Wouldn't you be happier around people who you... that's not even worthy of a response.
I know.
So yeah, it's just... I don't understand people. It's an interesting character study, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. So, I guess that's the lesson for this one. Just be yourself.
On that note. All right, that first one was Elizabeth with Beast Inside.
I'm sorry. Wait 2 seconds. It takes a little bit. You're a little bit quiet there. What was it? What was the first one?
Elizabeth with Beast Inside.
Ah, that was a fantastic one.
Yeah, they're off on Bandcamp.
Yep.
ElizabethBathory.bandcamp.
Yes, it's a weird, but yes, if you, oh yeah, Bathory, because it sounds just like Bathory.
The next one was Entombed with But Life Goes On.
From oh, geez, I don't know what album that's. Oh yeah, Left Hand Path.
Yeah, Left Hand Path.
Which is a classic, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found Elizabeth a couple days ago, and there's a hardcore band from Switzerland called Elizabeth. I was like, okay, it's not really an indicative name, but to someone, no, you have to check this out. This is, this is basically, Bathory. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if I the reason I don't know if it showed, but you're always a little quiet before the just after the song,
Okay.
which is actually kind of nice, not having to hear you.
Yes, not having to hear me, I'll have to fucking stab you in the nutsack.
Well, so viewers, we were having some technical problems early on where I couldn't hear anything Jim was saying. And I was like, actually, that would actually be a pretty good show. So Jim, how are you today? Oh yeah. Good. Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, you fucking pud. I have to chainsaw you now.
I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, "What's the greatest compliment you've ever gotten?" And by compliment I mean insult. And he goes, "Well, someone once called me undateable."
Hooray! I like being undateable.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, he has a girlfriend, for a couple of years now, long-term relationship. But yeah, I love undateable because you like weird stuff and you say weird things.
Yay, weird things. I always say the weird things and not give a shit.
Yes, I know you do, and I would say we're worried about you, but we actually just think it's hilarious.
You should.
But I don't settle in terms of that either, because you know.
And the thing is, when it comes to trends, some are just stupid. There's been a trend among vegans for the past couple years to not bathe. I don't know the logic behind it because I didn't look that far into it. I'm like, really? This is what's happening with your social circle. You're actually advising people not to bathe. That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That's been a trend in the underground for years. It's called crust punk.
Yeah, but
Dear,
that's a different scene
yeah,
altogether.
I know. I
No,
was just,
no, thank
I
you.
was, I was joking, obviously.
Yeah.
The joke's funny. The smell is not. But yeah, it's not bait. Okay, I haven't heard of that one, but that's weird.
Yeah, it's fucked up when you bump into these things every now and it's like, why? Who's giving this horrible, horrible advice?
Well, I mean, I never understood wanting to follow. I mean, I went on Facebook. It took me about 4 years to get on Facebook, and I only got on and that because friends were on there, and I wanted to talk to them, not just in school, but just everyday life or whatever. So I got on Facebook, but I never got on Snapchat or obviously Instagram's a no go for me.
Yeah.
But I have no desire to go on TikTok or anything like that. I have no desire to. It's
See, I
just
might go
it's
TikTok, but I don't know. I mean, there's some interesting people on there, and then there's a lot of lame ones.
eh. Um, I've always, I mean, why are you on TikTok? What is it
It's
about
just
this
another
site?
video site that only lets you do like what 5 minutes, I think, right now. They were talking about
Yes.
maybe going 15 eventually.
Yeah. So why bother?
But the way
No,
it's
I
designed
yeah.
is like if you don't have someone's attention in the first, half a second, they're just going to keep scrolling.
Yes, because
I mean, it's more designed for a phone than like other things.
yes, and people say, oh, we have ADD, but I think it's just these idiots, these this idiocy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not into it. I don't care. But yeah, so I've never like Snapchat. Well, okay, why should I go on Snapchat or especially because I don't actually have a phone, smartphone or anything. I never wanted one.
Mm-hmm. I got a
Uh,
smartphone just because it was kind of required for me to upgrade to have one, and then there's things I like about it, but then I don't like live with it. There's
well, yeah,
times where I leave it aside or leave it in the car when I go out to eat, just because I don't need it with me constantly.
and I understand you can message while you work, when you're at work or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you never do that.
No, I'd never just keep going and doing weird shit online while I'm at work. You
Yes,
know.
that's so unlike you. So yeah, I get it to an extent, but I've always, I mean, I've never wanted to just jump on trends. Hell, it took me till 2015 to use Skype. I did have a Zoom on my last computer, but I haven't installed that yet. I guess I
Yay.
should. So Discord, I got on Discord because a couple friends said it was fun. I chatted with them a little bit, and then I kind of forgot about it because I didn't know it was an app, and the at the time the Discord browser the website was really slow, so I was like, well, this is kind of lame. And we used it a couple times to play Fallout 3 when we were having Skype problems, and
Mm-hmm.
then when the Facebook thing happened, I was going to go on the Metal Archives forum and just chat about, because I have to chat about metal. If I don't, then I'll die or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you will die. A
Yeah.
horrible
So
death.
I was gonna
Because
go to
what's
the
going to happen is the worm is going to crawl out of your rectal orifice and start opening its jaws with fucking giant teeth and start devouring your spine from your
I,
asshole.
again.
Yes.
So yeah, I was gonna go to the forum, but I hate the forum. It's so old school, and of course I don't get any updates if someone replies or something, so I have to check back in. And anyway, just a pain in the ass if you have a screen reader. And I saw, oh, they have a Discord. I was like, oh, cool, Discord. The result of though is I hate my username on there, because it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you're some sort of German, like wannabe German edgelord black metaler. But yeah, I got on Discord not because it was trendy, but because I had to have something, and I love the way Discord is. I love the chat, the kind of old school chat room feature. I was never on IRC. I don't know if you ever were, but I was never on IRC.
I was ages ago back in college,
Yeah,
but like I stopped using IRC because it was just
but
too
I
much of
like
a pain for me.
but I like Discord's thing. So, but yeah, I mean, just never just blindly go into trends. Just
Yeah, you don't need to follow the crowd, and you don't need to fucking sit there and try to make everything conform to you and bloody bloody blah and fucking
I mean,
masturbate to fucking porn. You know,
to an extent, I might understand the social climbing if you have kids, because you want a better future for them or whatever.
but at the
But
same time, the cost is your kids. You know, to get ahead for your kids, you're pretty much sacrificing your kids to get ahead for your kids.
yeah, because even if something like what happened to you doesn't happen, you become an absentee parent, or you become a
Because you got to go to all these extra functions outside of work, so you're pretty much spending, you know, 90 hours a week to fucking associate with people that you work with just to get ahead for what? You know, it's not just the work, it's all the extra shit on top of it. And you're getting what? A fucking
yep,
paycheck? And that's why I like working a factory. I put in my 8 to 12 hours, go home, and don't give a shit about it after that.
and
I don't have
then
to talk with anyone at work when I get out.
and then you have your kids don't respect you, and then when when they do something that you don't like, you fly off the handle because you're so stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
So when they bring home that evil metal record, you start screaming Satan and send your kids somewhere to be deprogrammed. That's not an exaggeration.
No,
They're
it's not. Or you fucking sit there and start calling them Hitler and fucking gotta deprogram them from that, even though they never bought into it.
Yep. In the
You
in the
know,
80s, there was um, actual punk psychologists who would try to depunkify or demetalify our kids. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore. Probably not. But yeah, like parents of punkers. Well, we got to show that one day. There's a documentary I want to show on here or listen to on here. It's public access thing. It was about parents of punkers in the 80s.
oh god,
I think we would enjoy that.
I think we would, just for the pain and suffering.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the satanic panic video.
Oh
So
yeah, gotta love that
yes,
shit. The cops were trained to deal with satanic cults that didn't exist.
yes,
That's just there's just no purer way to waste your tax money, and you fell for it hook, line, and sinker because there was a schizophrenic that said that her kids were being flown from some small rinky-dink, barely able to afford to pay their own employees daycare on one coast to the opposite coast to have a satanic ritual, then flown back before she got back from work. So that's less than 8 hours they have to fly them out and fly them back
yeah.
to perform a ritual on a budget that like they can barely able to afford to pay their own employees.
What I want to know, my favorite part of the satanic video was the list of high holidays. And yeah, they tried to make it all horrible because it was like sex between 4-year-olds or whatever. But the list of holidays, there's not enough.
There's not enough time in the year to make any money to support yourself. You're essentially starving to death and died, you know, after the third ritual because the third holy day because please, dear God, I need to get food. I have to have a job. No, it's time to have another orgy. No.
No, my dick just fell off.
Yeah, and I'm starving to death because I can't afford food because I don't have a job because I got to spend all my time in these rituals.
Well, and that's the thing. They said that something like there's millions of Satanists or whatever, But okay, so no one notices when like millions of people miss a lot of work. I mean, you'd be fired by February with all the high holidays.
Yeah, you started on January 1st and you're fired
Eh,
by February 2nd.
Yeah, because it literally there were way too many. I mean, I gotta respect your religion, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
And then
you worked like 3 hours out of one day because, that there was a little 3 hour break between holidays.
Well, yeah, there's like a Halloween. There's like October 29th through October 1st is Halloween, or like November 1st, something like that. Then there's like a 2 day break. Then it's like November 3rd. There's another high holiday. It's like I have not.
I
I'm not
just
over
got
the.
done with the 3 day orgy, and now you want me to have a 4 day orgy?
Yeah.
My balls can only take so much.
That was the valorous fucking the entire brothel.
Yeah, I know. Massive penalties on rolls for a long time, kid. You don't fuck a entire brothel without massive penalties.
And then so yeah, Valor has to go to the bathroom. Ah!
I gotta do drugs to get rid of the pain. Then the drugs make me want to do it again, but I can't because it can't go.
No wonder he no wonder he took Boink's brew.
Yeah, I just OD'd on it constantly. Tickle nachos.
This is the Pathfinder session we played a couple of years ago. It was
Yeah.
glorious. The voices, sexually transmitted religion.
Mm-hmm. They
And
always compel you towards chaotic evil.
yes, and like I said, I mean, if I were to have just settled, because I mean, the first show I ever did was with Eric, who's okay, but he's not really a metal guy or whatever. But he's cool. Justin, not the Justin, the wannabe Satanist guy who was strange, and Mason, and then Erica came, and I actually thought for a couple minutes that okay, I guess Erica will have to do as a co-host until episode 7. I was like, yeah, fuck that, he's not a co-host.
And then you got stuck with me, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately. Although, if we're being realistic, fortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But the fact is, I mean, if I had stuck with Mason and Erica, I wouldn't be doing this show right now.
That would have driven you insane.
Blind man robs restaurant, barking like a chicken, and
you can give people a chance, but sometimes they just blow it way too many times. So you gotta check who your friends are. And I hate them people using this term self-care to say I'm weeding out people that I don't like out of my friends list. Like you didn't do that automatically.
even the woke make fun of self-care, because most people who say it's self-care are actually just selfish people.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. Yeah, don't you? Yeah, exactly. Getting rid of the people you don't like isn't that automatic? Isn't that just natural?
Mm-hmm. No, you
I
gotta
mean-
hang on to people you don't like so you can gain that blessed social status that you want to backstab everyone for.
And about the whole not bathing thing, I mean, I don't take a shower every day, but after a while, it's kind of it you kind of feel dirty. So
And you
I
start
think that's more
stinking to the point where you can smell yourself, and that's bad.
yes, to the point where
Don't be like my dad. Do not replace bathing with fucking hand sanitizer.
gross.
And then burn a bunch of incense. And then piss in bottles and shit in buckets so the stench just clings to you. And
Yeah,
this
that is-
pungent
yeah.
aroma that no one wants to be around. And especially, do not try stealing from me while he who shall not be named is selling my drugs for me because I'm at work. You might end up giving my dad a blowjob because it's either that or thrown out the window.
I'd rather go out the window.
Yeah, you would.
That's horrible. I remember when he told that story, I was like, wow. I mean, even stealing, that's mean, man.
You should have chosen the window, bitch. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. The
Yeah,
window is a lot better than whatever the hell you caught from that.
should have definitely chosen the
And I
window.
guarantee it wasn't like STDs. It was actual other diseases you caught from that.
Oh, I don't want to think about that. That's too gross for me, even.
The blowjob was septic.
That's yeah. So again, I mean, like I said, don't settle and don't try to force yourself. Just do your thing.
Yeah. And,
It'll-
you know,
Yep.
just stop caring about, like,
Yeah.
trying to appease the mob. Appease
And that's-
yourself first. Then you can
that's-
start worrying about other people you actually care about.
Unless you want to appease the mob with pitchforks and torches.
Well, yes, you always appease the mob with pitchforks and torches because you want to watch them burn, baby, burn. Then give them a nuclear bomb and see what they do with it.
Yes, definitely.
Well, sir, on that note,
This has been the Swine Brothers Show, episode 201. Contact us at cosmicgodsdie@gmail.com. Facebook is Swine Brothers, Twitter is SwineBros666. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And find
share
the
the
music.
fuck out of it and all your friends with us. I'm sure they'll enjoy it.
And find the music we play.
Yes, bye. Support the music.
For the gym, I have been Elliot. We'll see you next time. Whenever that will be.